Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. I'm your host. Your second host is coming shortly. So I'm really excited about today's show because Leah has been working endlessly to come up with a concise program for you guys. We're going to go to the EU. We're going to talk about the migrant crisis. We're going to talk about the fact that all of Britain and the United States, and it seems like the entire world, is losing their mind because Donald Trump chose to tweet out some videos that were actually truth. They were actually fact, but they just so happened to show the Islamic religion maybe not in the light that they would prefer. So I think we're also going to bring them, am I correct, Leah, the video of Nigel defending Donald Trump? We're going to bring you that one. I know a lot of you guys have sent that one to us today. I have to tell you, I was actually a little bit disappointed in Nigel's defense of not just like Donald Trump. I felt like he was a little bit weak. We're going to show you the video. That's just my personal opinion. I felt like he could have said more, but I was really, really disappointed that he let those news anchors kind of walk all over Britain first. So we're going to bring that to you. We're going to talk about Poland. We're going to talk about Hungary and how they are really making a huge stance to change the West. They want to do it, from what I understand, within the European Union. I don't think that that's possible. I think they're going to have to come out of the European Union in order to make a real change. But we'll see. Our hopes and prayers are for them regardless. They have a democracy, and we want them to be able to do what the people want. So what are we going to start off with? We're going to do the...
Well... There is the Breitbart London editor,
Rahim Kasim.
Yes, he is awesome. Now, I do want to bring a balance to the discussion on Britain first. Okay. Because
this is really pretty.
Thank you.
Isn't that pretty?
Thank you. I did listen to an interview that was
Wait, no, it's sticking out. No. Let me help you. The hanger, the hanger part.
The hanger part.
And
what?
You have lipstick on your teeth. Look, there you go. It's all good.
Where we go?
No, we're right there.
Okay, sorry about that. Things guys don't usually have to worry about. Not fair. So anyways, Brooke Boz sent me an interview, which was really good with Jayda. However, I'm getting to get a balanced view on Britain first versus the migrant crisis. Mm-hmm. And she had said in there, and it was quite shocking, that she would... destroy or get rid of all mosques in the UK. And he kept asking her, what would you do with the Muslims? She would ban Islam. Now, I am not upset with Jayda, and I think that there has to be an open conversation, and Rahim actually does a really good job of bringing balance, saying that if the BBC or if the mainstream news or worldwide,
right,
if everyone were talking about the facts and what's going on.
But you can't, because it has to be hush-hush, and that's why Jada's stance seems so extreme, because you can't bring it back to the fact that these things are happening and something needs to be done about it.
And so you have people who are frustrated, who may not be educated all the way.
Right.
And so when they see certain Muslims using the Quran to do things,
right,
then you would say ban Islam. And
right.
I understand that. But what you need to do, rather than call them hate groups, or rather than these people have legitimate concerns. I mean, these
right.
are grooming gangs. These are people who turn people into kebabs. Okay, we're going to show you what why do you focus on Muslims so much? What? I don't want to. I'd rather everybody live in peace. I'm a Christian. I want them all to be believers. I want to live next to them. I want to talk to them. I want to be their friends.
Right.
I want to be friends with Hindus. I want to be friends with Sikhs. I want to be friends with everybody. I want to show the love of Christ to everyone in the world.
Correct.
Okay? I don't want to ban Muslims. I don't want to ban anybody, because the more people are around me, I know they're going to know the love of Christ. I know they're going to come to know Christ. Okay? And so I know, and many Muslims are turning to Christ. Most Muslims actually, regardless of what the Quran teaches, most Muslims actually want to find God.
Correct.
And do the right thing.
Right. We were watching a UK show. What was it called? The Island or something? It's actually not good. Don't watch it. But where they dropped like 15 of each gender on a different island or whatever. And then somehow on the second season they came together and it was co-ed. And there was a Muslim on there. And all the girls are walking around half naked, literally in their bikinis. They know what they're doing. They even said so on the show. I'm not getting whatever and it's a shame because I've got all these hanging out. But the guy that was the Muslim tried to stay. And he ended up having to leave because he was like, I'm sorry, you guys are walking around pretty much naked as far as I'm concerned. This goes against everything that I believe. And so I have to commend him for that stance, because they shouldn't have been walking around naked. I don't care if you're on an island, okay? You got to know what you're doing. So my point is, they do, a lot of Muslims just want to find God. They want to do the right thing.
And so, this is what Resistance Chicks always says. You have to really break things down. You've got Saudi Arabian Wahhabism, which
Evil.
in my opinion
Evil.
should be banned, because
it's satanic.
Because when you Google and when you watch their clerics and their imams, they're calling for death. They're calling for death to the Jews.
Right.
I mean, this
you
is
don't
not
have to
awesome.
be tolerant to that.
Right. However, there are different kinds of Muslims. If you go to Syria, the Syrian, there's a Muslim minority there,
right?
Who love Christians, and that's the Bashar al-Assad's Islam, who is not seeking to conquer the world,
right?
Who is not seeking to
who celebrates Christmas with the other local Christians.
And so this is the confusion, and that's why I want to clear it up. So right. I want everyone to be able to come to the table, and when you push away even the EDL, and right. you push away Britain First, and you don't sit down and talk to them,
right.
and address their concerns,
right.
and label them as white supremacist or bad, like Nigel is doing, and even Raheem is doing.
I'm very disappointed in that.
It's not right, because we sit down and talk to these lefty people all the time, all day long.
Yeah, and they kill babies.
And that's what I was going to get to. That what came to my mind.
That's what came to my mind.
That's what came to my mind. I was thinking about abortion, right? So you literally have people who want to kill children,
yep.
who
but Leah, they don't want
exactly.
They don't want to kill children. It's just
it's a result of believing that abortion is okay. Right. Is the murder of innocent children.
It's the result of believing that sleeping around with everybody without being married is okay.
Right. And so to say that one child in the womb, because it's wanted, is an infant and we should care for it.
Right.
And because another child conceived is not wanted,
right.
it can be torn apart and dismembered.
Right.
I'm not going to say everyone who believes in abortion should be forced away from the country.
Bingo.
But I am going to sit down and talk to you. And I'm not going to say everyone who believes in abortion may not have the right view on other things. So we as humans need to be able to differentiate people's views, and this is really important when it came to Trump's tweet,
right?
Because one of them was proven to be, it wasn't a migrant, okay, but we have seen several of them where migrants are beating people.
So what does it matter whether it was that one or another one?
Exactly. And Trump only follows 45 people on Twitter,
and he tweeted out Ann Coulter, who tweeted out Jayda.
Right, and so everybody is getting upset at Trump for not knowing who Jayda is, for not looking up Britain First and seeing that they're a hate group. They are not a hate group. They are a frustrated group. They are trying to spread light, and when you do that in the way that they're doing it, sometimes you cross boundaries even in your mind, and that is where I go with people who believe in abortion. What they're saying is no child should be have to be brought into this world unwanted and unloved and unprovided for. And so I want to sit that person down and say, wait a minute, there are millions of people who can't conceive, people who want to adopt.
Right.
All children are welcome in this world. We don't need to dismember them and kill them.
And teaching abstinence in schools would go a lot farther than teaching sex education. But abstinence programs that are faith-based, which are the only ones that really work,
right?
You can't just be abstinent without having a reason for why. A faith-based, they should allow these abstinence faith-based groups going into these schools, and that is what would curb a lot of teenage unwanted pregnancy. But then they all get saved, and you can't have that.
We are sidetracked.
Okay, but anyway, back to
Trump's tweets and
Jayda. Here's the thing. I have to agree with the fact that Jayda wants to get rid of all mosques in Britain. I would too. I would want to do that. If I could, I would get rid of the mosques. But you can't. All right. So you have to at least, like you were saying, address that her concern to want to do that is valid, and it's not a crazy stance.
And it depends on what mosque we're talking about. Right now, the mosques in Great Britain are funded by Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Many Muslims, there are Muslims around here, and I don't know what they're teaching in there. I'm hoping that they're teaching peaceful things, but we do know that the Quran is full of things that are not peaceful. But there are good Muslims who actually don't actually read the Quran, and I would.
But then, like my mom said last night, she's like, "Well, if they're a good Muslim, then they're not actually a good Muslim."
Exactly.
Okay, so I want to break this down for those of you that aren't quite understanding. I got one little point to make here.
I have
and then you
so
can
much news.
I know. Hang on a minute. For denominations, maybe you can at least understand it that way. In Christianity, we have so many different denominations, and they are crazily different. Like ridiculous. You've got the Catholics, you've got the speaking in tongues, holy rolling, you know what I mean? You've got the Baptists, they wear the long hair, they've got the long skirts. We have so many different denominations. They interpret the Bible very differently in a lot of different ways. Okay, now unfortunately, the extremists of interpreting the Quran differently take it to death. They're actually the ones that are probably interpreting it correctly, but there are those that are pacifists that aren't quite like that. So to break it down so you can maybe understand how there are so many differences in the Muslim community. Right. Done.
His website. Good evening to you. Why do you think that the president did retweet those 3 tweets from Britain First? What was behind all of that in the first place?
I think he saw it in his feed, in his Twitter news feed, retweeted into his feed by, because he only follows 45 people, I think. Yes. Into his newsfeed by one of the people he follows. And he doesn't sit there and research who the original tweeter was or anything like that. By the way, Jayda Fransen has a little Twitter verified symbol next to her name as well. So saw the content, was interested in the content, and thought this is something that people need to know about.
Is this a shift? I mean, you might have heard Barbara there saying that in diplomatic circles in Washington, they think this is a new low.
Yeah. Well, the swamp,
is that right?
The swamp will always find a way to criticise President Trump for anything he does. Let's analyse this in real terms. You know, we've had breathless coverage of this now since it happened. The whole political establishment and media establishment going into overdrive, hysterical over this, right? Over tweets. An emergency debate in Parliament.
Yes, but he has 45 million followers.
An emergency debate in Parliament? Are we that scared nowadays of these fringe organisations that you have to have an emergency debate in Parliament? The Archbishop of Canterbury, the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary. I mean, these are things that you do in a time of war. They're not things you do on the back of a couple of tweets. If Downing Street was a serious operation, and I'm telling you now, inside Downing Street, they are not taken seriously by people in DC, the people working in Downing Street now. If it was a serious operation, they would have gone to their ambassador and said, please would you raise with the President, with the White House, the fact that we wholeheartedly do not like these people, and that is dangerous to do.
Well, the ambassador has raised it as an issue, so we know that that has happened. In addition to everyone else. We know that has happened.
In addition to everyone else.
But you're saying that the number 10 is not taken as a serious operation, but then by the same token, the President of the United States has roundly criticised the British Prime Minister on Twitter. I mean, this is...
Okay, so I wanted to kind of clarify that as well, because Twitter is now a media outlet.
Yes.
Okay, so would it have been better for the President of the United States to criticize... Okay, first of all, Theresa May criticized Donald Trump because she didn't do it on Twitter. Then somehow it's more sophisticated and it's more diplomatic.
Right.
However, she ruined, for the time being, the relations because Donald Trump was going to make a visit to the UK, a working visit, and now he's not going to come. And the UK needs America in order to make Brexit work. Right. And this is what Raheem Kassim goes on to say.
Patriot Gallery.
Just last night I had a bad experience with a good friend, and they stopped me from saying Muslims were bad. You know, I saw a machete, and I was like, oh my gosh, they get a machete real easily. Oh my gosh, they just buy one for $8.99 in the store. I got to thinking about it. Excuse me. I realized she has become an apologist for Muslim. Once you become an apologist for Muslims, she's like, oh, don't say things bad about Muslims. You become Muslim. She became Muslim just like that. When you start apologizing for Muslims and making excuses for them, you become a Muslim.
Yeah, and so this is a tricky business because this isn't like Christianity. And anyone can criticize Christians, and this is another thing that came to my mind.
Very true.
You in
Good
the
point.
UK, you are allowed to criticize Christians. If anybody says anything against homosexuality, which is in the Bible, then you are criticized as a Christian. You have made
But
gay.
yet the Muslims are allowed to criticize
I
homosexuality.
know. You have made gay marriage a thing where the Bible says to us that marriage is between a man and a woman. However, the Bible doesn't say to ban gays. The Bible doesn't say to hate gays. The Bible says to love everyone. However, we are allowed to call out when we believe something is sinful.
Correct.
Okay? And you're allowed to just rip Christians to shreds. And people have been doing it for the past 45, 50 years since the sexual revolution.
Right.
But when you say anything against Muslims who are actually, Christians never, in the past 100 years, Christians haven't been burning people. They haven't been throwing acid at people. They haven't been throwing people off of buildings. It's a war of ideologies, which is okay to disagree with people. It's okay even to be a Nazi. It's okay even to be a black supremacist. We can't control people's thoughts, which is what they're trying to do in Germany and in the UK and especially in Canada.
Right.
Is to control people's speech.
Like you said, your point is it's a massive double standard. Get back to that in just 1 second because this comment I really like. Hi, girls. In Britain, they are putting up concrete barriers to protect us from something that we are not allowed to talk about.
Exactly. So you have this, anyone can go on YouTube and watch imams say
Right.
it's okay to molest children.
Right.
It's okay to molest boys. You got all of Afghanistan who literally has the bocce boys, the dancing boys, okay? Have a boy for pleasure and a wife for children. That is a thing. And we aren't allowed to talk about it and I think that...
But the problem exists so much so that they have to put up barriers because people are driving cars into crowds.
And if people were allowed to sit down with people who are educated on Islam, on both sides, and people who are
Right.
allowed an open debate,
Right.
and they could talk about things, we could flush all the negativity out to the front.
Right.
And Judaism has had a reformation since Jesus. Go figure, right? They don't sacrifice animals anymore.
Right.
Go figure, since Jesus was the last sacrifice.
Right.
You know, they don't keep to this all of the same things in
Right.
the Leviticus. So I'm just saying is that Islam does not have to be abolished. If they want to believe in Allah and they want to believe, you're allowed to be a crazy hippie worshiping Aquarius.
Yes.
That's a thing.
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to follow Allah and follow Muhammad, then what you need to do is not follow the Muhammad of several centuries ago. There has to be a reformation to bring up Muhammad to the point of civilization.
But that's not going to happen. It's impossible, and that is the problem.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's impossible, and I don't say that it's not going to happen. Because we live in an age where people aren't talking. And if people are talking, you've got Hindus and you have Buddhists, but they aren't throwing people off of buildings, okay? They aren't hurting people. And so we, as a civilization, allow these religions to continue.
But were the Hindus ever the type of people to be very vicious and violent?
I don't think most Muslims want to be vicious and want to be violent and know what's in the Quran. I believe that they want to follow God. And so if they're allowed to practice Islam, then I believe that they can find God. That's my opinion. I have seen Muslims come to Christ.
I get where you're going.
I have seen several Muslims come to Christ. I've seen Muslims leave the Islamic faith. And so if we demonize the Islamic faith, if we tell them, you just can't be a Muslim and shut the door, that's like telling a teenager, go sit in your room and never come out again.
Right.
You need to be able to, as human beings, identify things. If you want to be a Mormon, I'm not banning Mormonism, okay?
True.
These are things, but
Mormons
however,
aren't killing people, but they are pedophiles.
they were pedophiles and they were polygamists.
You're right.
And the more we talked about it, the more we say this is not civilized and part of civilized society,
Correct.
then they have done away with that.
I agree.
And so that's what I want to get to. We don't need to ban Islams or ban Muslims, but we need to talk to people about what is in civilized society. And unless we talk about it, unless we bring it to the forefront, unless we engage in it, and if we're hateful, if we're angry, if we're frustrated at, and we say all Muslims this or all Islam that, we aren't going to be able to engage with people.
Right.
And convince you. You can't just outlaw things. You have to. This is what Christianity is all about. You can't make people. I mean, they were doing crazy things in Roman time, and Jesus did not come to go and overthrow the Roman government.
Right.
He came to get at people's hearts.
Right. Back to Raheem.
By the way,
not
so
a
he
diplomatic
should.
way to behave.
It's-
By the same token, if you're saying it should be done at an ambassadorial level,
The rule book-
shouldn't that be
The
similarly?
rule book went out the window on November the 8th, 2016, when the American people decided they wanted a bombast in government, right? They wanted this. They saw it during the campaign and they elected it, right? So for him to call out the British Prime Minister, when the British Prime Minister is using this event to virtue signal, and you have a situation where we need a trade deal with the United States. We need that relationship. In a post-Brexit world, that is imperative. And she is flushing that down the toilet to virtue signal over a couple of tweets.
Well, why
didn't she pick up the phone?
The government is saying today that the special relationship is still very important. I mean, they've been
let me tell you
clear
something.
about that.
President Trump will not view it like that at this juncture. And he has not viewed it like that for some months now. The British political establishment, I guarantee you, is calculatedly using this to try and drive a wedge because they don't want Brexit to happen. Theresa May, don't forget, was a Remainer. And I think this is an intentional way of trying to halt that.
But this row is not about Brexit fundamentally.
But it's going to be.
Because he retweeted something that is unpleasant material.
And we can all agree on that.
It's so unpleasant. That's the point.
It's not unpleasant material, and it's not inflammatory. We covered this on Friday. The Syrian man who broke the statue
of
Mother Mary was actually a video from 2013 from a Free Syrian Army commander who had gone into a Christian a village in the province of Idlib and said, we are going to make sure there are no idols against Allah, and we are going to ban Christianity. And so this is what the whole world should be talking about, that the Free Syrian Army, who the United States and Great Britain and the West backed, wanted to destroy Christianity.
But the guy had just killed the man in that house before he broke the statue.
A Christian.
But you can't tweet that out, Leah, because it's unpleasant.
That is what the whole narrative should be about.
Right.
What's going on in Syria, that these people who we backed, who said that they would be friendly to Christians and friendly to the West after Assad was toppled.
Yep.
They literally killed and massacred Christians.
Right.
Racist. Well, so the argument starts from the starting point of he sent out three
just made a
retweets.
misstatement.
So
you made a misstatement just now.
Why did he do that, and what was he trying to say by that? And isn't it inflammatory?
You call it inflammatory. 2 out of 3 of those tweets we know are factual things that happened and the world needs to know about them. By the way, the Britain First of the world wouldn't exist if the mainstream media did their jobs in covering this stuff, in covering homosexuals getting thrown off buildings, in covering the fact
that story. I remember doing it.
In fact, good. And all of your
We covered it once. We covered it, I remember.
Colleagues need to be across these things in covering the fact that Christians in the Middle East are so heavily persecuted, and we scarcely hear about that. Every day we hear a story about President Trump's tweets, but we don't hear a story every day about real problems in that region due to radical Islam. We're scared of offending Muslims, but most Muslims aren't radical Islamists. They want this dealt with the same way. And President Trump putting those things up there, to, like you said, to his 45 million people.
Most Muslims are decent, law-abiding people like everybody, most people watching this program.
BBC
that's
polling.
The point.
BBC polling did this in 2009. They showed amongst 16 to 24-year-olds in the United Kingdom, 40% of them said they wanted Sharia law in the United Kingdom. We don't talk about that. Why don't we talk about that?
Why don't you talk about that? 40% want Sharia law, meaning they want to get rid of Britain's laws and enact Islamic law.
But Leah, they're allowed to hold that belief if they want.
And so when Jayda says we need to ban Islam because 40% of them
who are voters,
18 to 24,
right?
And again, we've talked to Horatio. Those who came in the 70s and 80s, this is the difference between organic migration. There are people who came to Britain, who came to Europe and migrated in the 70s and the 80s, and they wanted to become British people. They wanted to become Europeans.
Correct.
And we have friends who talk about these things, who are just, we're just Muslims, and that's just what we are, and we do, our little holidays, and we kind of celebrate Christmas, and that's just, we love God, and we pray 5 times a day, and it's kind of like a thing, right? But then you've got these radicalizations, and it's actually getting back to fundamental Islam, and it's the younger people who are disenfranchised, who are angry and frustrated, and they are the ones who, not out of a sense of actual religion or loving God, just out of a sense of anger, because that's what fuels you. And we've seen so many, like that one girl who was fueled with anger and hatred, and she would look at pictures of beheadings,
right,
and she came to know Christ.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay.
And why don't we address those issues? You see, the Britain First, they get oxygen from you guys not talking about those issues. You did that poll in 2009, and you haven't done a single follow-up since. It's been nearly 10 years. I want Britain First gone the same way that, I think every serious person doesn't want them part of the political debate, but they exist because there's a vacuum created by the lack of coverage on these issues.
Do you think a state visit should happen? The president...
He had nothing to say in response to that because he killed it.
Right.
He nailed it right there.
And so I want to show you this. This is Anne-Marie Waters, the former leader of UKIP. She says Owen Jones, who is...
She wasn't actually a leader.
Wasn't she elected?
She went to...
Yeah. I thought
she didn't actually win.
Oh, I thought she was.
Now she started her own
leader.
Party. Maybe she was. I don't know.
Think so.
They can correct us here.
Owen Jones, who is gay, has strongly objected to a visit by a U.S. president who doesn't want to kill gays. Owen did not strongly object, however, when Hamza Sodagar, who does want to kill gays, came to Britain. This is the left, thick as two short planks. And so Anne-Marie Waters has a really good take on, in my opinion, from what I've seen, and this is what happens with Britain First, or Anne-Marie Waters, or anybody that we... Oh, there goes a really loud video. Anyone that we follow,
right?
We can't know everything about them. And so... I am going to tweet. I would tweet out Jeremy Corbyn if he said something that I agreed with. I would. I don't look at the people.
Okay.
I look at the substance of what it says. Okay? Because I believe in trying to find a common ground with every single person on the face of the universe.
She wasn't the leader. She left UKIP after she lost to Henry Bolton.
Okay. Thank you. So this guy right here goes in this video that was about to play, what she's talking about is how he goes on to say ways to kill Muslims. You can't hear it.
Oh. But that's not even English.
No, these are subtitles. So I'm not going to play it because you can't hear it. But he says the punishment for homosexuality is one of 5 things. And he goes on to say he's a U.S.-born radical, shaikh, whatever, 1 of 5 ways to kill homosexuals.
Lovely.
And is speaking at the Islamic Republic of Iran school in London, which started it was October 4th through October 12th. He details different punishments for homosexuals. He advocates throwing gays off of cliffs, tearing down walls on top of homosexuals, and even suggests killing them by combining each method. And so this person was allowed in to the UK, and that was what Anne-Marie was saying. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on. And so let's hear Nigel say here's one of his clips. I think I have a longer clip too.
The level of outrage from the liberal elite in this country is out of all proportion.
Can I just say,
with what?
You can't
actually.
I can actually.
With what happened here.
I can.
And every single time, every single. No, I haven't finished yet. I haven't finished yet. And the idea that should lead to half the Labour Party saying he shouldn't be allowed to come to our country, frankly, is ridiculous. And I think is viewed by the public as being ridiculous. Was the story about ISIS throwing people off buildings fake news? No, it wasn't. It was true. It happened in Egypt.
It happened in Egypt. So somehow, if it happened in Egypt, it's okay, because in Egypt, you're allowed to do radical Islamic things.
Sure.
And that's okay. We're expected that.
Right. Mark H. had said, on 9/11, most Muslims in the USA were cheering the World Trade Center's collapse as they were parting the streets.
There were a lot, and that is absolutely true.
And every time we've seen something like this, you see, like on the Facebook likes, you see the thumbs up and all the happy faces if there's a death, like, you know what I mean?
And we're not allowed to talk about it, and we will talk about it, and we will try to always put it in perspective.
Right.
I think we've gone way over the top today with this row. I think our political class today have exposed themselves as actually not wanting to have honest debates about some very tough issues. I'm not condoning Trump sending this stuff out, but hey, we shouldn't try and damage the relationship between our two countries because of that. Wow, isn't Twitter important in our lives these days?
I have to tell you something. This is my gut feeling, and it's unfortunate.
Before you say it, I would say he's being a politician.
Yes, that's exactly
and
so.
I feel like that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. But what I'm saying is, I believe, in all honesty, the way that Nigel feels about this is completely different. Not completely. Is different than what he's allowing himself to put out. I don't think that he has a big problem with Britain First. I think secretly he's proud of Paul Golding and Jayda Fransen for what they are doing. But I think that he realizes that at the stage that he is at, where he sits in the EU Parliament, and as a leader, in order to be taken seriously,
absolutely,
if he aligns himself with them, then it may be almost over for Nigel. So I have to tell you, my gut says that Nigel isn't being as forthcoming as he's feeling inside.
The sad part, because no politicians today are allowed to
say what they really feel.
Say what they really feel.
And Donald Trump is actually doing it, and that's why they're mad at him.
And Donald Trump is doing, and so what he tweeted out. It wasn't that he tweeted out something crazy. Everybody's upset that he tweeted out and it was connected to Jayda. That's the big thing. So I don't want to spend too much more time on this because we have a lot of news to cover across the EU. While we're in the UK, because what we do here on this UK-EU program is I try to take each country and the top news in that country and follow each one because there's so much going on right now. And these are our brothers and sisters across the pond, and I want to cover what's going on for them. Right now, there is a Brexit divorce battle going on, and I want to play this clip for you on the EU demanding this giant divorce settlement.
Bill. Yeah.
And here, Farage has to say.
Leaving this union is not worth 40 billion. Wrapping us up in transition on top of 40 billion and denying us the ability to sign up to the rest of the world is the worst of all places to be, even if we've left the European Union in name only. Comes to a point where actually it'd be better to say, I tell you what, you guys, you've been totally unreasonable. Just tell them, sling your hook, unless you're prepared to have a grown-up conversation with them.
So just on the odds question, we are 100% likely to leave the EU in your view, but we're
in
less
legal terms, yes,
but less likely to leave the single market.
I think we'll be stuck inside the customs union, the single market, the ECJ, unlimited. Oh, we haven't mentioned it, have we? Immigration. Oh, terrible. Shouldn't use that word. How awful. And yet it really matters to people. Yeah. It really matters to public services. And I fear that we go into the middle of 2019 still wrapped up in all of those things. I very much hope that I'm wrong, but I fear that's where we're going to be.
And that's unfortunate.
Okay, I had to bring in my Nigel.
You really went to go get Nigel?
Yeah, I had to get my Nigel.
She had to go get Nigel.
Yeah, I had to bring my Who's Laughing Now cup.
Let's see. Imagine Hillary Clinton was president. The USA would be having the same fate as Britain. Pretty true.
Yes. Okay, so we're still in the UK. But
well, technically we're in Ohio.
This one was funny. You're going to have to forgive me because I am not incredibly familiar with the musician Noel Gallagher, but I guess that you probably do. I do not know the band Oasis. However, I'm sure he's very famous for you. So, he said, F. Jeremy Corbyn, he is a communist. And Nigel Farage tweeted out, last week I called Noel Gallagher a lad, now I call him a legend. And so he talked a little bit about politics and let's just get on with Brexit. People voted and he didn't actually vote for it, but he's just, can we just be done here?
Right.
I have more UK news, and so I want to...
Britt says, now the UK has settled the extortionate divorce bill. Now the EU will stop trade talks beginning over the Irish border. Watch this space.
All right. So this one was icky to me. You guys know who this is, I'm sure. A former counterterrorism command detective said there is no doubt that Damien Green, Prime Minister Theresa May's right-hand man in the cabinet, accessed extreme pornography from his parliamentary office on a regular basis.
So here's the thing. We talked about this the other day and we had a couple comments. You girls have never actually seen pornography? I don't think so. We've seen some pretty bad stuff. I considered a lot of R-rated movies as kind of pornographic, but like seriously. So I don't know the difference between extreme pornography and just pornography. All right, but I could use my imagination. I'm thinking extreme pornography would be like children, homosexual, violent. I have no idea, but whatever it is, they use the word extreme. And so if the MSM is using that kind of language.
So he's denying it, but
of course
the computer was in Mr. Green's office on his desk, logged in, his account, his name. A forensic examiner said in between browsing pornography, he was sending emails from his account, his personal account, reading documents. It was ridiculous to suggest that anybody could have done it. So basically, I open a tab, the next one is my email, the next one is porn, the next one is my email.
Yeah, about that.
But it's not me, because it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. Now, if you just want to put aside the part that this is extremely disgusting behavior, you could at least say, not on my dime.
Yeah, you getting paid for that, son.
Not while you're at work, son. This isn't how this works. People don't pay you to access porn on the job. Most people don't get to do that, but you know, porn was accessed almost on a daily basis, and unfortunately the police said that there was nothing they could have done. However, quite simply, it was not illegal to be in possession of extreme images before January 2009.
You mean like as a worker?
No,
illegal?
In general, these were extreme images.
They were so bad they're illegal to be in possession of, so it's got to be child porn.
Well, I don't know. As of 2009, if the raid had happened a few weeks later, it would have been. So the raid happened right before they passed a law that would have banned these extreme images. Y'all can look up what these extreme images might be.
No, I wouldn't do it. No, don't do it.
So I just thought that was, and he's still a dude, man, in your cabinet. This is sick.
I have to read Redneck's comment because this is great. Redneck said, and God love you. I hate movies with sex. The way I feel about it is if I ain't having it, I don't want to see it.
You know what? That's how
most men should feel about it. My mom would always say, I don't want to be in the bedroom with those people. Like, you don't. It's weird. Would you, and I just got to say this because it's my show and I can. Would you literally sit in a room while two people were having sex? If you wouldn't, then you shouldn't watch the movies while they're doing it.
And
either.
if you would.
And if you would, then I don't even know.
Don't come near me because that's icky.
That's just vile.
Actually, we have a swingers club right down the street. Where they meet on Friday and Saturday nights.
We yell at them out the window when we drive by.
Women get in free for everyone else. It's like $40 or $50. It's disgusting. They bring your own sheets.
It's awful. It doesn't even have like a sign. It's just all undercover, but everybody knows
they have a
it's
website.
there.
One of our neighbors showed it to us.
We yell like, "Go home, Jesus loves you."
Yeah. All right. So this is big news. Listen to
faces. I'm sorry, go.
Listen to this. UK security services foil a significant jihad terror plot.
Oh, wow.
So what happens is this doesn't make big news, but this should make as big of a bang as if it had gone bang. Okay? Counter-terror officials believe a serious, well-advanced Islamic extremist terror plot against the UK has been foiled. Way to go. Sherlock Holmes, I'm sure, was behind that one.
Oh,
and Watson.
That's right.
Oh, put on your hat, put on your cap, and get out your pipe.
I'm ready.
Has been foiled after 2 alleged jihadists were arrested.
Where's my pipe?
Where is your pipe?
I'll find
it. The plot is thought to have been inspired by the Islamic State group, with attacks planned in the capital, London, and the UK's second city, Birmingham.
You break it,
dropping things on the ground.
I don't think Sherlock would have dropped the pipe, but okay.
I don't know.
Give it a go, you know.
Give it a go, you know.
Yes.
Young suspects, aged 20 and 21, were held on Wednesday night on suspicion of being involved in the commission, preparation, and instigation of terrorism, a statement from the Metropolitan Force revealed. Searches of addresses in southeast Birmingham and North London, if you live there, were said to be ongoing at the Met's Firearms Command was involved in the operation. The arrests were linked to UK-based activity, counterterrorism sources told The Telegraph, but the precise nature of the plot is still unknown.
So they need Sherlock Holmes.
Now remember,
to come and uncover the actual nature of the plot.
There are at least 23,000 jihadists, the vast majority of whom MI15 and the police don't have the time, money, or people to watch. 23,000 known jihadis in the UK.
Maybe they would have more money to watch them if they weren't so concerned with giving the EU their big divorce settlement.
40 billion would do
Right
good.
too. I think it should really help with the police force.
I mean, seriously, 23,000, 40 billion. That's like 2 billion per terrorist.
I don't know if that math is right, but we'll go with it. Sounds wonderful.
No, it's not right.
It's not at all close to being right.
Somebody do my math for me.
No, it's okay. That's all right, Watson. It's okay.
There's no edit button on my
Did you really say 2 billion?
I didn't mean to.
Okay. Moving
It's
on.
a lot of money. It's at least
it's a
millions.
It would do it.
I don't have one of those math minds.
Maybe you just need a thinking cap. I don't know.
Take away.
Oh, that's
wait.
cute on you. It's lovely. Absolutely.
Take away
lovely.
3 zeros from a billion.
Right.
What is that? How many is that?
Is
that 100 million?
I think so.
Maybe 100 million per.
You're so adorable in that hat. Wait here. Let's have a look at it.
Okay.
Now,
if you did not join us on this week for this one is one of my favorites. Sadiq Khan to bring gender-neutral toilets to the UK, reflecting diversity because one for male body parts. Usually the standing urinal is accepted bathroomage in all across the globe.
look, I just adjusted the color. I've learned how to fix the color, guys. They don't wear it sideways.
I'm just trying to get it.
No, it was good the way I had it.
All right, so and one for sitting for the female is not enough because it can be quite disconcerting for people of the LGBTQ too. Why are you taking me off? I'm still in the UK.
Well, then you should let me just leave it like that.
Okay,
it's better.
All right, so we're looking for gender-neutral toilets to reflect incredible diversity because there are so many different outlets for the urine.
No, you're gonna pee out the wee-wee or you're gonna pee out the non-wee-wee.
And
it's that simple.
There's so many diverse. I mean, there's over time we have many different ways to pee, and so and to poo. Actually, pooing is the same.
You know
regardless
what?
Of
it's
gender.
bipartisan issue, that pooing thing.
It is actually. But Sadiq Khan is really concerned with this. I mean, like, seriously, he vowed to be mayor for all Londoners and is determined to ensure that everyone has the ability to enjoy our great city to its fullest. Meaning that when you are full and you need to release some of the fullness,
it's just coming off the
it
rocker
can be
now,
completely diverse. All right, he said that he indicates that toilets are a very important battleground.
Did he really
in the
say
fight
that?
For social justice.
No.
Toilets are a vital public service.
If people start throwing toilets, someone's going to get hurt.
How, in his view, they can help to shape the experience of the capital. We need a range of toilets that reflect the incredible diversity of this city, giving people the confidence to move around London with dignity.
It's a battle
of the toities. So, London sees more rapes, more robberies, and more violent crime than the U.S. metropolis, once so notoriously for high crime rates. So I'm wondering if maybe he should put more money towards the acid attacks, so that people can walk around London without fear of having acid thrown in their faces. Off. Admitting there are over 200 former Islamic State fighters in the city, largely unmonitored. But the toilets.
Hang on, though. Zoe says just write unisex and you have the problem solved. You don't have the problem solved. Because you know what I was thinking about last night? We went to a restaurant, local mom and pop restaurant we have here. And I was in the restroom and it was kind of crowded. And there's these cracks that are about that big in the doors. I don't know why they can't make doors that don't have cracks in them in the bathroom. I have no idea. It blows my mind. I could design. You can see right in.
Door.
And I literally had the thought in that moment for the first time like ever. I've never had this thought. If this was a gender neutral bathroom and there were dudes standing outside that could literally see inside me going to the bathroom, I got to tell you, I'm holding it. I ain't going in there.
If you have a gender neutral bathroom, they need to be their own.
Exactly.
Their own,
completely closed off.
Like the family restrooms.
Right.
If you want to do that, if that's what you feel, they have to be completely closed off, and then you can have it gender.
And then I'm down. I'm totally down with that. That's fine. I don't mind using the same restroom that a guy used.
Right. My bathroom, gender neutral.
It's got a door.
It's got a door.
It seals.
It seals.
It locks. Around. Yeah. And it locks. Yeah. and you can't get up underneath of it.
Right.
Even if you lock a bathroom door in those restrooms, somebody can come up underneath there.
So you would.
It's not a safe place.
Okay. All right. So
solve that.
All right. So then I think we are moving on from the UK.
Then I'm going to remove your Sherlock.
Thank you.
You didn't get to have it now. Take it away.
All right.
Okay.
So we're moving on to, and I knew this would. I have gotten rid of the ad blocker on here. You don't come up and tell me that I haven't. You're making me sign in. Okay. All right.
Wow,
so
it's music.
That's not actually something to dance to. African slaves mutilated and cooked like kebabs by Libya gangs. Now, we are going to talk about the migrant crisis. We are going to talk...
Don't you get sick when you eat human?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. So, I want to make Europe great again, and I'm going to get to a few articles about making Europe great again. But I also... We are talking about migrants. Mm-hmm. So, I want to go to the beginning. I want to go to the source. Okay. This is the source, and they're coming through Libya. Mm. And from Libya, they go to... And I have this... thing right here. It's kind of itching.
Can I help
under
you?
Here. No. It's like a half sleeve under here.
It's a half sleeve?
Yeah, so it's
I have half sleeves, but I folded them and they're above my elbow.
Oh, so it's kind of itching.
You need to have it above your elbow.
Okay. So anyways, these slave markets have sprung up in Libya because all the sub-Saharan Africans were trying to get into Europe, thanks to Mommy Merkle, and George Soros saying, hey, go, it's going to be fine, it's a big party, everything's free. They all get stuck in Libya. And we have covered this because despite what some people think, we care about these people.
Yes.
We care about the fact that they are being forced into slavery. We care about the fact that their life isn't awesome. However, Africa is big, and Europe isn't quite as big, and the major EU countries put together, not as big as Africa. That's really simple math. So bringing in the whole continent up isn't going to work. It's just not going to work. So we just need to like I said before, when we had normal migration, when it was more, how do you say it, just organic. People would come, and I am for diversity and all those different things. And I know, so what you have is in the backlash, and it sounds racist. Keep Hungary, keep Poland. And what they're doing is they're fighting against this George Soros EU bankers influx of people that is just, when you put in too much chlorine to a pool,
yes,
then it can be toxic.
Correct.
At one time. And the when a few people come in who are, here's the thing, the reason you can go and move and that you even have the EU is because there is a homogenous mindset, a homogenous way of working, thousands of years of Christianity, over at least 1,000 years of Christianity in Europe.
At least,
okay? Yeah. And so you have people who have common values, right? And when and a common way of viewing the world. And it is not racist to say that a lot of these sub-Saharan Africans are coming from places where they don't have an education. They were shepherds, and I love shepherds. I love farming. But it's a different lifestyle,
right,
that Africa didn't embrace. The for better or for worse.
Right.
The commercialism and the industrialization even. Yeah. And so you have this clash of cultures that when you bring in a bunch of people from another culture, it can be too much at one time.
Right.
And if things change, if people change organically, like people love Turkish food, kebabs and things like that. They love it.
Right.
Because the Turkish people came in organically.
You guys have in the UK, I know, like kebab shops, just like you have, we call them pot pies. Like,
right.
You have like the pie shops and stuff like that. You have a lot of curry influence, Indian influences that we just simply do not have here in the United States.
And so it's beautiful to have different people and different cultures and go to go eat Chinese or go eat this and to have these different cultures still operate within the larger culture. But when these smaller cultures begin to take over the larger culture of the people to their detriment, this isn't an agreed upon thing of everyone. They're forcing themselves on other people. That is where you have to draw the line. So These poor people, I'm going to go ahead and play this even though I'm going to mute it. So U.S. military forces have captured Mustafa al-Iman for his alleged role in the Benghazi attack. Terrorists from the 2012 Benghazi attacks captured in Libya. I'm not going to play this whole thing. But there are slave markets that have sprung up in Libya. I have shared videos on my Facebook. You can see the videos. They're being sold for as low as $400 to $500 per human being. Okay, and you have Black Lives Matter talking about racist and reparations, and we can talk about that, but you can't get angry about it. Okay, I don't have any slaves. Most of my ancestors came here within a couple generations. I'm not part of this. Okay, I will help to fix things and how things went off with too much, chlorine in the pool. Slavery bad, we get it. But slavery is happening right now across the world, and George Soros and Angela Merkel are responsible for the slave markets in Libya because these people came to the one sphincter to get in. Right. And now these Arabs, unfortunately, are treating them like slaves, right? So a former member of the Nigerian government has claimed his countrymen are being captured, mutilated, and cooked like kebabs by slave traders in Libya. The ex-culture minister Femi Coyote, that's very lamented the plight. It's not funny, it is, but come on, we have to make light of some of these things. Of sub-Saharan Africans who arrive on the Mediterranean coast dreaming of a new life and work in Europe, only to be forced into slavery. In April, the International Organization for Migration warned migrants were being sold at public slave markets in the country. It said at least 20,000 migrants are being held by criminal gangs in detention centers in Libya. Now, you destroyed, the West destroyed Libya. They killed Gaddafi. It is now Mad Max, Lord of the Flies.
Right.
Right? And everybody's doing their own thing. I mean, like, it's anarchy up there. And this is what happens when you don't have a good rule of law, by the way. Cambridge-educated Fani Coyote said that 3/4 of the people detained by criminal gangs in the region have come from southern Nigeria. He wrote 75% of those sold into slavery in Libya who have their organs harvested, bodies mutilated, and are roasted like African kebab are from southern Nigeria. Roasted alive.
Eat a human.
This is what Libyans do to sub-Saharan Africans who are looking for a transit point to Europe. They sell them into slavery or murder or mutilate or torture or work them to death. And we did a whole segment where somebody, I think it was RT, went in and we followed some of these people who are like, I'm taking care of them. But they're starving them to death. They're
hold your thought there. Patriot Gallery has an edition here.
So this is Clinton. This is Obama.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This is Clapper. This is Democrats.
This is the CIA
Democrats had slavery in the South.
Right.
The South said we will rise again.
Right.
South rose again and brought slavery back.
Right.
They're the KKK. So if you're a black person, you are for slavery if you're a Democrat. Because Democrats can't change who they are.
Right.
They just paint a different picture.
Right.
But this is what Democrats do, make slaves.
Right.
Now, I'd like to say that you can't blame all America for having slaves because the Lord just showed me in Ohio in 1852, we made a constitution when we became a state. And we claimed slavery illegal.
Right.
It's in our constitution. So Ohio's always been a free
because
state.
we are a republic. And each state is sovereign.
And it's proof a whole side of our road, I mean, at least a mile by
on the
5.
state where we live.
Whatever. It's all black people own land in Ohio. They have freedoms in Ohio. So nobody can say Ohio is bad. So if you want to say South Carolina, North Carolina, whatever, don't say Ohio.
But
Ohio
again,
is
it's
never
not the
legal.
entire people either. It's just it was bad people that had the power at the time. And that's what we always say about slavery. It's not a race issue. It's can I have power over you?
But in Ohio, in our city in Cincinnati, we have the railroad
Underground
museum.
Railroad.
Because Ohio is where people transition from slavery to freedom.
Kentucky to Ohio, the
so
river.
we're very proud of Ohio, and we're free from
We
slavery.
are, and we are very proud of Cincinnati because Cincinnati was the hub of the Underground Railroad, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. The abolitionist movement took took hold here in Ohio, in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it makes me proud to be from Cincinnati, Ohio. And the fact that it does make me proud, the fact that I get goosebumps, we have an Underground Railroad museum here in Cincinnati, Ohio, to show people risking their lives to help other people. Now, should they have had to risk their lives? No, but it just goes to show you that bad people will do and hurt people no matter what, no matter where. Even in America, there were bad people, okay? And that's, a whole another topic. But it was called Lane Seminary, and it was a college put up. You guys may have heard of Uncle Tom's Cabin. The woman who wrote that, her father started Lane Seminary, and they had debates for 2 weeks with some Southerners who were attending the college. And it's really kind of important because this was a firecracker that started the abolitionist movement in America. And they had debates on whether to free the slaves immediate emancipation, or give it time. And Lane Seminary argued to free slaves immediately, and some of the young men who owned slaves in Kentucky were so convicted by the gospel of Jesus Christ presented that no man should own slaves. And when you present, that's why I'm not even going to throw away somebody who owns slaves. I want to sit down. I want to talk to them. And if they are reasonable, if you can talk to them, if they are open to hearing the word of God, then we need to reason with each other. And they reasoned with these people. And what changed people's hearts, what changed slavery is people's hearts were changed. Their minds were changed. And if you demonize everyone, even though we're sitting down, slaves were actually put upon America, by UK king, right? By the British king, and because kings are tyrants, and we all know that, okay? And we actually, Thomas Jefferson, it's not well known anymore, but it was then, that in his first draft of the Declaration of Independence, he outlawed slavery, and he and George Washington from Virginia, from a slave state, worked tirelessly to free slaves through legislation, and they ended up losing their entire fortunes over freeing slaves.
Correct. Patriot Gallery.
This all ties together. The Mueller investigation, the communists, all these media outlets are covering up this slavery.
Right.
Because the media, your mainstream media
exactly
is pro-slavery.
Right.
Your Mueller investigation, these are people covering up the slavery.
Right.
They don't want it. They want the slavery. The South rose again to control. Your paper dollar is slavery.
Right.
And so all this ties together. It's all about slavery. And when Democrats are in power, you're going to have slavery, and you're going to have covering up.
Right. Heather says that you guys, at least in the United States, or if you want to make a trip from across the pond, you need to visit Ripley, Ohio, because they have an excellent Underground Railroad history.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Heather. That's fantastic. Okay, so there is slavery happening right now. And while some people are kind of pointing it out now, if you don't find, what they're not doing is making the connection between the Obama administration and Clinton.
Hang on. Pause a minute. So what? You were supposed to be on our show today. All right?
We want to get you on our show because a little known fact, you guys, you know how we kept sending you to VidMe? They're shutting it down. They're shutting it down in 2 weeks. And I want you to go to So What's page.
Here, he's right here. Click on his name. Every single person in this chat. You should have 83 new subscribers at least. And then everybody watching this after is going to subscribe to So What.
He's got a Facebook page. He's got a YouTube page. He has just introduced me to a called Minds. I'm not on. I'm on there, but I haven't put any videos up.
Even if you can't watch him because his language isn't exactly family friendly, subscribe to put the numbers up.
You're gonna love everyone in the UK.
You're going to love him. So What? Yes.
He covers the news in such a way that it's like news on fire.
Backstory is funny. He is in Germany.
Yeah.
He has to remain anonymous because he could go to jail for saying the things that we say here on Resistance Chicks.
We say, actually, he's the male version of us, and I would say funnier.
Yes, way funnier.
He is so funny, just so funny, and very, very frustrated because all of his videos, thousands I think, on VidMe are just going to be gone in 2 weeks.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, and I'm really sorry about this. It's just, but I
okay, so what? We're going to have you on next Sunday at 1:00. Let's do this.
Everybody kept asking you to come back because you're just so good. You are so good. I wish you could be out in the open. Maybe you know what we talked about? Get a visa, come to America, right? Try to come here legally.
Yes. And
then you can have free speech and you can show your face and be your awesome self. Because people need to see you and hear you because you are funny and you're awesome.
Yes.
Okay. But I understand why you can't in Germany because I don't want you to go to jail.
No, don't go to jail.
No, don't go to jail. Speaking of Germany, while you're here, let's go to Germany. I have I would love. So what? Leave some things in the comment. I don't know how long you can stay. So I think most of these are up in my German links. Okay, all right. Merkel's, I can't do a German accent very well. Merkel's staff rules out coalition with the AfD. We will never accept their ideas. This is Mommy Merkel speaking. With hopes of forming a majority government with former Free Democratic and Social Democratic parties still unclear, and the opposition AfD now being the third biggest party in parliament, Angela Merkel may have to settle for a minority government or face snap elections. So it went back and forth. Oh, we're going to have snap elections. Oh, we're going to align with the Social Democrat parties. Oh, we're not. Oh, it's a tug of war. What's going to happen? Merkel's chief of staff, Peter Altmaier, has ruled out any forms of cooperation in parliament with the right-wing Alternative for Germany less than 2 weeks after the Free Democratic Party pulled out of the coalition talks, and with the Social Democratic Party SPD leader Martin Schulz saying he hasn't yet given the green light for a coalition with Merkel's Conservative Union and the Allied Greens. I think that actually this article should be reversed. The AfD, I don't think, wants to form any government with Merkel. I just got this feeling.
Right.
So Altmaier says that we will never accept the political ideas espoused by the AfD, and it is dividing the country and pitting people against each other. No, that's Mommy Merkel. Okay, nobody likes this woman. I don't think anyone in Germany. And in Germany, you're not allowed to talk about it.
No.
Nope. Can't speak.
They will come to your door with the police. What's the German word for police?
Yeah, Polizia.
No, that's Italian.
So anyways, they ruled that out, which was pretty funny because the AfD isn't going to work with you anyways. All right. So again, here we go. The Germany Christmas market was evacuated. Police confirm an explosive device was found. So in reminiscent of, people dying in a huge Christmas market, now we have a giant, you know what? I'm going to tell you people, if you live in Europe, what you need to start is a business in the concrete barrier business. Yeah. Because it's ticking.
It is.
It's up. I mean, I am going to get on the ground running on the concrete barrier business and get the whole trucking thing going because all of Europe will soon be a concrete barrier. You're going to see a hilarious video. I don't know if I have it up. Where I have, that's pretty.
You're like a little kid. Puppies.
I know.
Okay.
Where is it? It was so funny. It's a video where they literally, you have the police moving it back and forth, the barrier to let the cars come through.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it was really funny. I'm not sure if I can, I'm going to find that
and
one.
Right, thank you Merkel on these barriers. So what says?
That's awesome. Okay, so a Christmas market in Potsdam, Germany has been evacuated by police after a package was found with wires sticking out of it by an employee near a pharmacy. Police say that the object appears to be a homemade package measuring 40 by 50 centimeters and have now confirmed in a tweet that it is an explosive device. It's like an IED, and the package is said to have been addressed to the pharmacy, which is in the vicinity of the Christmas market. I have to say, I am glad that a lot of these terrorists are not very good at their bombing. Isn't it great that they're inept?
It's very exciting to know that they're kind of, not the best bomb makers.
Exactly. The Brandenburg police wrote on Twitter that the special forces from the German federal police had arrived on the scene to deal with the bomb. According to a police spokesman, they had received no prior warning or threat against the Potsdam Christmas market. You know what I'm thinking of? I'm sorry. A little bit of rabbit trail. When Donald Trump was elected, they had a political parade where they made these giant paper mache Donald Trumps and Theresa
oh my gosh,
Mays,
that was awful.
like,
and they've been doing that every year
with
but
poop
this
and
is the first year,
effing people
right.
and F this, and it was just in these really
Right.
vulgar things. And I was told that the Germans, this is what they do during their these parades, that they're outspoken, this is their First Amendment.
Right.
But if that's a thing, and
But
you
how
can
come that's not reversed
for
how come you
Islam
can't-
or
exactly,
Muslims?
Exactly. Because what if they're just putting that up there because Donald Trump is a Christian? You know what I'm saying? So what says, and of course, as per usual, the motive is unclear.
The motive is unclear. That's really funny.
They are Teletubbies, these logo stone barriers. Says so what?
That's even funnier. All right, so I have let's see. Let me see. I've got another.
If we had a crew,
Set.
which we don't, we would just get you on Skype right now.
Wouldn't that be fun?
But we don't have a crew. So we'll have to do it another time.
I had a few more.
Inky, Dinky, Ditchy, and Pooh. I'm just reading So What's going on. So great.
Okay.
I wish, if you guys haven't watched So What, you need to go watch him. Let's see. A man shouted Allahu Akbar while stabbing people. However, we are unable to identify the suspect. MSM every time. Thank you, St. Mark.
Okay, I had a
Play Katie Hopkins on Sweden and locking people you care about inside walls and bars speech.
So I know that I have these up already, but as So What knows, sometimes it's hard to find your right link. So I'm going to bring them up again. Now, this is very interesting to me, and I'm going to give you my take on it. The bookkeeper of Auschwitz, 96, is said to be fit to serve a jail term of 4 years.
Really? There's no statute of limitations on that.
Now, I'm actually, to me, I feel like this is a overreach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That, first of all, he's 96 years old. And I want you to read what he says. He was an accountant at Auschwitz, sorting and counting the money taken from those kills or used as slave labor and shipping it back to his Nazi superiors in Berlin. He also on several occasions performed ramp duty, processing deportees as they arrived in rail or cattle cars. During his trial, Grodin acknowledged moral guilt but said it was up to the court to rule on his legal culpability. He testified that he was so horrified by the crimes he witnessed at the camp after his arrival in 1942 that he appealed 3 times for a transfer to the front, which was not granted until autumn of 1944. So, I feel like this is a witch hunt. Because if you put every single German soldier in prison,
right,
you don't have a Germany.
And the fact that they're not, I mean, there can't be that many left alive.
He is 96 years old.
Right.
He is not a threat to society.
Yeah.
He already said that he wanted to be taken to the front lines, which would have meant death.
Yeah.
He would rather die than do what he was doing, but he was forced to do it. So when you're forced to do something
This feels like
against your will, this is a time of war. These are excruciating circumstances, and I would say that if this was right after the war, put him in prison.
Yeah.
But he's 96 years old. He has had to live. If you're in Germany, he has lived with more guilt than anybody.
But I feel like this is just
this
kind
is
of
a dog and pony show.
Exactly. They're putting him on trial for, I mean, this is to me, this is horrific.
This is the Germans putting a man who's 96
just to make themselves
feel
look
better.
Well, look better. They're not going to, they don't care. They don't
But
have feelings.
a migrant who raped somebody isn't going to get 4 years in prison.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so,
this is awful.
To me, this is the pot calling the kettle black. This is the epitome of, this is what happened after, and we've covered this before, like with IG Farben and the European Union. Nazis never went away because Nazis were a front for globalist and worldwide domination.
Right. They became the EU.
Yeah, and we've got books around here, IG Farben books, talking about the fact that their ideal was just to create this European Union where they could control things, and Hitler was their front man, and so he is the fall guy. These Nazi guys, this poor guy, and I do say this poor guy because I believe he has suffered enough. Okay, living in Germany with this guilt his entire life gone. Because it wasn't him. Okay, he didn't wake up one day and say, I want to be a Nazi and I want to destroy people and no, he was part of the German army and was stationed there. You don't go against the SS. You don't go against the Stasi. You don't go against...
They'll kill you.
They kill you. And so, George Soros, he joined the Nazis and he giggles and he laughs and says he learned how to manipulate and steal from people as a Nazi.
So what says Rudolf Hess, Hitler's, I think you mean adjudicant, died in prison. That's interesting.
And so I wanted to bring that and just kind of show that virtue signaling is never the right thing to do. Ever.
He says that Merkel's code name is I am Erica. Because they're talking about how she's had ties with Nazism her whole life.
So Germany floats an idea for a bonus for rejected asylum seekers to go home. So they've realized, and some people have realized that we have too many, and we're rejecting asylum seekers. So that could be for any reason. It could be that they're not actually in danger in their home country. It could be that they're criminals.
Yeah.
It could be for many reasons why they are rejected. But they're not forcing anybody to go home, which is kind of silly. It's kind of like you don't get to come into the United States unless you have a reason and a visa and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But you can come into Germany, and if you want to leave, you can leave. If you want to stay, you can stay, things like that. So they're going to give them some money. Give them about 1,000 euros, or receive up to 3,000 euros, and individuals families could receive up to 3,000 euros, and individuals up to 1,000 euros if they return home by the end of February. I'd say that that's probably a proper investment to make. Save you some money.
Do you think anybody would take it though? Because they've got to be receiving.
They probably would receive more than that. I think it should be more like 15. It's fake money anyways. Just give it to them. Just give it to him. All right. So if I find the one video showing you, they literally have to move the concrete barrier back and forth. We're moving on, and now we're gonna go from country to country to country. We're gonna start with Finland. All right. So in Finland, this guy here, I have seen his face all over Twitter. No aggravated rape sentence for a 23-year-old migrant who raped a 10-year-old girl.
Are they going to say it was consensual?
Yes.
No!
A 23-year-old migrant named Yusuf Muhammad Aboud was acquitted from aggravated rape despite having intercourse with a 10-year-old girl. The court said it was not clear that the girl was unable to defend herself and express her lack of consent. Now, we had an 8-year-old girl running around our farm the other day. And so I'm imagining 8, 9, 10, right?
Oh my God!
So I'm imagining her trying to fight off a 23-year-old man. You got a beard? Okay? Look at this dude. I couldn't fight this dude off. Okay? But to say a 10-year-old child would give consent. Now in France, they're working on changing the laws because there is no real law of consent there.
Finland.
And I don't understand that. Somebody explain this to me.
I don't even want any of these countries to participate in the Olympics anymore.
No.
You know what I'm saying? The Olympics for some reason, gives everybody like this even playing field, like your country is valid. Nobody's country is valid. They need to outlaw all Olympics. I'm serious, because this is not a thing. If in Finland, a 23-year-old sleeping with, even if you don't want to call it rape, it is rape, a 10-year-old girl is not a jailable offense, you are not part of the world society.
That's just as bad as Nazism.
Yes.
That's just as bad as being a Nazi. Pedophilia-ism is just as bad as being a Nazi.
I'm feeling the chemical anger run through my body right now.
The Turku Court of Appeal ruled last week the defendant was guilty of aggravated child sex abuse, but not of aggravated rape, and sentenced him to only 3 years in prison, thus upholding a ruling issued in March by the District Court of 3
years.
The defendant was acquitted of the charge of aggravated rape on the grounds that the defense was unable to substantiate its claim that the victim had been unable to defend herself and express her lack of consent because she was in a state of fear and helplessness at the time of the act. Jussi Tapani, a professor of criminal law at the University of Turku, and Matti Tolvani, a professor of criminal law at the University of Eastern Finland, said in an interview with the newspaper that the case could ultimately warrant the attention of the Supreme Court of Finland. Both of them indicated that the criminal code fails to unambiguously define the grounds of determining that the victim was in a state of fear or other state of helplessness. The Supreme Court should set a precedent on whether or not a 10-year-old can be ruled to be able to express their will in circumstances such as these. Now, in my opinion, people whose bodies have not fully developed into what they are going to finally be through puberty are not able to express consent on what happens to them because they are not fully developed. We raise animals, right? Now, some of them can get pregnant at earlier stages.
Right.
However, it's not healthy for them. It's not healthy for their minds. They don't know how to be mothers.
Right.
They don't know how. Okay? And so, if you have a case where two juveniles accidentally do something, those are two people that you have to look at from that stance. But if you have somebody who is fully developed doing something to somebody who has not fully developed,
it's rape.
It's rape. And so when we look at the males, I look at males and they don't actually start to fully develop until they're 18 and 19, right at the end of high school into college. Females at a different stages. And so
16, 15.
Not even 15, 16, 17. You grew in high school until you were
did.
like 17 or 18. So what I'm saying is that there has to be a realm. That's why in America we set the age at 18 because that's the age where most people have physically fully developed, not even mentally, but that's like a base age. I know in the UK it's like 17 or 16. Some areas are 16. I still think that's too young. If you're still in school, that's too young. If you're not out on your own, that's too young to make a decision.
Says, if you don't want your religion tied to mass sexual assault, then don't go around sexually assaulting women in the name of your God. I know so many people hooked on drugs because some grow up took advantage of them.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And says, I don't understand how the families can put up with this. The neighborhood should kill these guys.
You know, I don't either because there was a time in a John Wayne era or you took matters in your own hand.
We're not advocating that, but if your country doesn't have justice, I don't know what the answer is, but you need to at least have some sort of political revolt to change the laws so that justice can be served to these people.
Right. So in moving on, we're going to get more to that. So there's plenty of cases of this.
3 years they need castrating, says Tracy Talulalula.
In Switzerland, a Swiss woman is facing trial because she promoted jihad. Okay, so a suspect Swiss jihadist is to face trial accused of involvement with the Islamic State terrorist group. She converted to Islam, rejected her life in Switzerland, 31 years old, was accused of inciting others to wage holy war and promoting suicide bombings in Western cities. The woman converted to Islam in 2009 and was radicalized over the internet when she was living in the Swiss city of Winterthur. In the northeast of the country. She then took her then 4-year-old son to Egypt and Syria via Turkey, where she allegedly rolled in ISIS. She was later arrested in Turkey and sent back to Switzerland, where her travel documents were confiscated. According to prosecution documents seen by the Swiss news agency, she promoted jihad to others once she was back in Switzerland and wanted to set an example for potential imitators. So there you have that. You have these women who are just cuckoo. There are a lot of these poor women.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, it's all those Facebook requests you get from people with little letters that you can't read.
Right. That's exactly what it is. Now, I don't want to.
He loves me,
and that's unfortunate. No, dude, it doesn't matter what you're being sent. You got to know who's sending it. Okay, so I want to get back to this because we had some ages given to us specifically. Britt says that the UK is 16, the age of consent. Spain is 12. I know. Let's see. He says that Italy is 12. So what says Germany is 16 with parental consent. Zoe says Sweden is 15. Shani says yes, the UK is 16, and other European countries are 14. Zoe says the appropriate age is 18. David says, how do you castrate a female? It's not usually, it is sometimes. It's not usually the females. Unfortunately, you can't. They don't exactly walk around with a weapon. It's usually psychological when the women are involved.
It does mess with dudes' heads, though. I mean, seriously, but not as bad as it does because it's usually quite a bit older men with young women. And yeah. All right, so we are in, where do they do this here? In Germany. We're back in Germany. Okay. So, a Lebanese asylum seeker found guilty of attempting to burn down his asylum home. Out of frustration, he was not given a job.
Oh.
So, what you have to do is with these asylum seekers, take them to a boxing ring and show them that there are certain ways to express your frustration and certain ways to not express your frustration.
My mom always taught me to yell in my pillow.
Setting the building on fire is probably not that way. However, let's see. The court heard that 26-year-old Hussein F. had come to Germany 2 years ago from Dubai, where he had lived for 6 years, and he had paid £11,000 for a Schengen area visa. He was placed in an asylum home in Hanover, where on June 12th he set his mattress on fire. His lawyer claimed the asylum seeker has snapped because he was looking for a better life and was not able to work. He gave warning to authorities of his plans in advance when he marched down to City Hall and demanded his own accommodation, saying that otherwise he would set the asylum home on fire.
Okay.
It took 66 firemen, 14 police officers, and 6 paramedics 2 full hours to put out the blaze. But no one was injured. The judge in the case found the asylum seeker guilty and handed down a suspended 2-year sentence and 250 hours of community service.
So what says so peaceful of these ghouls? I want to let them play around with some cats, tigers, and lions, etc.
The judge warned that the sentence could have been far greater if anyone was injured. If their mind is such that if they're frustrated, they try to burn a building down. 250 hours of community service.
It's arson here.
Yeah.
That's what it is here.
Yeah.
You go to jail for that.
These judges, judges.
But you know what? Here in the United States, apparently our judges aren't that strong anymore either.
Violence broke out in the streets of a German city as police clashed with protesters, and officers fired a water cannon during the anti-immigration party Alternative for Germany. So there were people who were upset with the ADF, and so the AFD, and so police had to break them up with water cannons. I'm gonna play this.
Weir Borg says, if you hurt children, put a millstone around your neck and jump in the ocean.
Right, exactly.
Or just seek God.
It would be better. I love the water cannon. It's like a free water park in the middle of, Whee!
She loves water parks. So this is all right up Leah's alley.
Just get a slide. I mean, put down a slip and slide. This could be a cool thing.
I don't really like to swim that much. I go because Leah goes.
They're arresting me!
They're like melting. Like, I got wet. I'm melting.
I'm being arrested.
I love how they just like lie around. I wish you had to, if you could pull up some videos of like animals that refuse to go to like their crate and the owner's like dragging them. And it's hilarious. That's what that looks like.
Scuffles broke out. I believe this was last night, yesterday. It was 2 nights ago. As protesters attempted to break through a police cordon set up on the road to the Congress Center of Hanover, where the AFD was meeting to elect a new party leadership. Police also took action after protesters set up illegal roadblocks. Frank Pestman of the AFD claimed on Twitter a colleague was attacked by 15 anti-fascist terrorists. Because that's the way you end fascism, with violent fascism.
Sure.
Fight
fascism with fascism.
All right. Yeah. George Soros is funding all the fascists all over the world. Where do you think that billions of dollars is going?
Hang on. So what says that as far as that fire truck was called, or water truck, he says, this is the Wasserwerfer 10, the newest variant of a German water thrower truck.
All right.
Wasserwerfer.
Gotta get them things going, man.
Werfer.
All right.
There you go.
So, scuffles with police. I think that there might be a few.
You can mix water with chemicals. No joke, he says.
People are being arrested. See, this is the thing. You know, I just gotta, get some. I don't know. It just.
Were you gonna comment on the haircut?
I was gonna comment Merkle with her thing.
Oh,
okay.
Look, that's nice.
That's nice.
I like the way she looks there.
Okay, so I wanted to just take a second and show that in Egypt, it's not safe to be Christian. Okay,
yes.
And so
the Coptics there.
We
really
have Chrislamophobia.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you want to call it. Christianphobia. Priest hacked to death in Egypt ambush. Can we not walk down the street anymore? And I just want to spend one moment, because this is why we do this, is because there are Christians all over the world being persecuted, and that's where we need to shine the light. A Coptic Orthodox priest was slaughtered in the street in the Egyptian capital last month, horrifying Christians in the country. This week, the priest killer, 19-year-old Ahmed Seed, was sentenced to death for the horrific attack, which left another priest injured. Open Doors, a Christian persecution watchdog, said priest Saman Shihata was attacked with a cleaver. You may turn into a kebab. When he was visiting Cairo for a conference. The group, quoting local press, said the killer had been looking for any priest to kill when he stumbled across him. Remember, there were 28 killed in a bus attack. We had the last Easter, we had the Coptic Christians being attacked there. So I wanted to bring light to that. Now, moving on to Turkey. Turkey is not necessarily part of the EU yet.
They want to be.
They want to be, and allowing the free movement with Turkey is going to be fun.
No.
Because all those migrants will be able to freely move too, I'm sure. So, this is interesting to me. Erdogan proposed swapping Turkish asylum seekers for jailed Germans. This guy is as corrupt as it comes. Turkish
Sneaky.
President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who said that, don't worry, in 10 years we will be an Islamic State.
Yes.
Which was, Turkey was the head of Constantinople, the head of Christianity, like the seat of Christianity.
Well, his election was a joke.
It was a joke.
It was vote for me or die.
So he, in September, proposed to Berlin to swap some Turks who took refuge in Germany for Germans who are jailed in Turkey. And he proposed a swap of a jailed German journalist, Deniz Yücel, and other German citizens in Turkey for Turkish officers who have sought asylum in Germany following a failed coup attempt. So, what they want to do...
Wait a minute.
I will give you the people... I know. I will give you the people that we are punishing for our free speech if you give me the people who left here so that we can destroy them. This is the same guy. I don't even know.
They're not even asking for, like, hey, can I have my greatest general, or can I have somebody that really, I need that person in this chess game? They literally want the people that they hate to come back so that they can punish and destroy them.
Why
That's
Donald
evil.
Trump can't see, and why the West can't see, why you're even pretending to talk to Erdogan, who is a dictator. The man jails all journalists who don't go with the party line and the
propaganda.
They are turning. You are watching the Death Star be created. Do you understand?
He doesn't have that much power, but yeah.
The Turkish Death Star.
Exactly. For Turkey, yes, for sure.
Okay, if you think Germany's bad for free speech, try living in Turkey.
Right.
Okay, they jailed all journalists who spoke anything slightly against Erdogan at all.
No, they just jail all journalists.
Yeah.
Almost. It's like...
And anybody who was there in Turkey covering from a German perspective,
right,
they got jailed too. And then people fled to Germany.
But it is so
after the coup
twisted that these are the ones that he's asking for.
I know. He's not asking for people held in German prisons who are Turkish citizens.
Right.
He's asking for people free in Germany, walking around, having a good time. I'm free from Erdogan. This is great. I love my life. Real asylum seekers. Real asylum seekers, by the way. Okay? Go back to Turkey, you're dead, you're put in jail. That's a real asylum seeker.
So what says he is the Turkish Hitler and he declared war on the Netherlands and Germany.
He is the Turkish Hitler. Why are we talking to this man? Everybody goes off on Donald Trump's tweeting something that's really happening where Erdogan is literally creating the Islamic State Death Star before our eyes, we are watching the formation of an Islamic State right before our eyes.
And I want to go back to Raheem Kassim's interview with the BBC and where he's like, why are we talk about Trump's tweets all day, every day.
We're not talking about Erdogan.
And we're not talking about anything real that ever happens.
Exactly.
Oh, but then the lady's like, well, we covered that story once.
Which is why, VidMe failed for a lot of reasons. But one of them is because they are not CIA backed. YouTube actually still operates at a loss, but they are CIA backed. Google is CIA backed.
Right.
They didn't have alternative media isn't backed by unlimited funds from George Soros and the CIA. Okay? We are going to find a way to get our message out there, even if they shut down everything.
Right.
There's plenty of money. We all have plenty of money. We'll be fine. We are going to create something.
Yeah.
We are going to create something, God willing, to get our message out there. When they shut down one, we'll go to another. They're shutting down monetization. I hear every day from a famous YouTuber, support me on Patreon, support me
awful.
Here.
They were making a living on what they were on doing this.
Exactly. Josh Sigurdsson.
World Alternative Media.
Yeah.
So Michael Constantine says Turkey will be in the EU because Verhofstadt and Juncker want it, all against the will of the people and even some of the countries.
Now, while we were in Turkey, there was another article it might take me a minute to come back to. I have another article on Turkey where Erdogan did something crazy and illegal, and I'm going to get to that one. I'm not sure which link it is, but we're definitely going to get to that one. All right, talking about corruption. Listen to this. Top officials from a French-Swiss cement giant, Lafarge, suspected of financing terrorism. So, we talked about if you want to have a surefire job in Europe, be in the cement business, start making concrete blocks.
I love it. Yeah.
Right? However, these people were on the ground running. I believe that they financed the terrorism in order to get the concrete blocks business going, right?
Could be.
And the barrier business going.
I like where you're going.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I could go there.
Okay. 3 top officials from the French-Swiss industrial giant Lafarge have been put under formal investigation for alleged financing of terrorist enterprise. Judicial sources said French prosecutors are looking into the company's activities in Syria. The scandal hit Lafarge Holcim, created after France's Lafarge merged with the Swiss company Holcim in the summer of 2016. The paper claimed that Lafarge paid Islamic State in 2013 and 14 to continue operations in northern Syria. Lafarge's Jalabia plant in northern Syria was the conduit for the payments. On Friday, Frederick Jolabus, who took over as manager of the Jalabia plant in 2014, was charged with financing a terrorist company, violation of European regulations. Well, I guess why? Concerning the embargo on Syrian oil. And I just wanted to bring that to you, letting you know that this whole Syria thing and ISIS thing, it's totally,
it's a giant tapestry that is completely woven together. It's hard for other people to see it because they try to cover it up.
Right. This guy, one of them admits that they paid up to $100,000 a month to an intermediary who turned out to be Firas Talas, a Syrian business tycoon. Talas, who was a minor partner of the plant, would send around $20,000 of this money to ISIS a month.
So Mark H. says the Clintons were connected to or bribed from Lafarge. I recall Lafarge has quarries in Indiana and Ohio.
I did not know this. Thank you. Do you see how all these dots fit together?
Thank you, Mark.
This is a globalist agenda. All right. In March 2015, the firm admitted that it had provided funds to certain armed groups and sanctioned parties in order to maintain operations and ensure safe passage of employees and supplies to and from the plant. So there you have it. Admitted
Lovely.
to it. So back in Germany, I thought I had them all like totally in order. But you know what? We're going to jump around a bit.
Just roll with it.
The German town that said Nein to Angela Merkel's migrants, Sue Reed reports from Salzgitter after its mayor called a moratorium on accepting any more foreigners. We're done. We're cut off, man.
Well
the
said.
Christmas market selling Santa chocolates, Advent wreaths, and spiced wine is in full swing, and a German town with an unrivaled record of welcoming migrants and making them feel at home. Excited children wave from carousel rides as shoppers chattering in German and Arabic mingle. On the face of it, it's a relaxed scene of which Angela Merkel, the German leader, would surely approve, except that here in Salzgitter, things are abruptly changing. Its pro-refugee mayor has declared a moratorium on any more foreigners coming to join the 5,800 who have already arrived. He admitted a few weeks ago, right now we're a little overwhelmed. We have received too many in too short of a time. The locals are having fears for the future. Even the migrants living in Salzgitter, which sits on a lake in the lower Saxony, northwest Germany, agree there is a crisis.
So what says that Salzgitter is near where he lives?
Oh, so you have them around you all the time. Not everyone can come, and there will be nowhere to sleep, and no free chairs in the schools. Said a Syrian from Damascus, who with his wife 30 is wheeling a 2-year-old on their way near the Christmas market. We have worries. I'm still learning German. I do not have a job. There are many like me, and they're basically saying, I am here, no more people after me, because otherwise life gets worse for me.
So what says, I demand that fire thrower trucks be used peacefully.
German police found over 20 migrants under a freight train.
Huh?
Yeah, that's what this says. Gotta check out for the migrants. This is a new job here.
They're train hoppers.
There I am. Here I am. Oh, you don't see me. You don't see me. Can't see me.
Dang it.
Can't see me now. Can you see me now? They're shivering. They're freezing cold.
Sie sind in einem physisch
and in poor physical state.
Zustand. Wir haben auch schon den Notarzt
We've already
gerufen,
called
weil
emergency
wir,
services
annehmen müssen, dass
because we believe some of them are suffering hypothermia.
Ich gehe davon aus, dass
I think some of them will have to go to the clinic.
Andere von dieser Personengruppe dann erstmal ins Klinikum eingeliefert werden muss.
Wow.
I've had that feeling before. That's not a good feeling. Blood circulation cut off.
Anstieg spürbar, weil wir im ersten Jahr waren es schon über 20.
We found over 20 migrants in the first days of August. In July we found over 100.
Über 100. Es ist ein deutlicher Anstieg spürbar.
That's a clear increase because in the first half of the year we only found 20 people in total. And here we all come out of the train. That's a thing.
Here's the thing, you guys. It's not that we aren't heartless. And you can't look at that, and you have to be able to understand these people do, probably, a lot of them, just want a better life.
Right.
And I don't blame them. It's the people up top that are pulling the strings, making this happen, and willing to put all this money into having them in the European countries, and yet not willing to do anything to take responsibility for the actions that they took in the countries where they're fleeing.
This is going to be incredibly... It's going to sound racist, but it's not racist. Okay, so Europeans went down to South Africa. There was no one there. They created thriving farms and a beautiful economy. You have to recognize that not all white people are great, and not all black people are great. Not all Native Americans are great. There's a warring Apache. Cut your head off, man. Take your scalp. Right?
Whoa.
Eat your heart.
Whoa.
Right? Okay, so you have good people and you have bad people. Okay, the people. When I look at Mugabe, when I look at Nelson Mandela, I grew up as he was a hero.
And that was propaganda.
But he was racist. So racist. And so when you have this jealousy because the Europeans came, unfortunately, with the mind of God. These are strong Christians, by the way. Mm-hmm. They came with the mind of God, who enlightened their mind on how to till the soil and how to create a wonderful, thriving economy.
Right.
And they had the reason that they weren't able to succeed, you could say, is because they're surrounded by an entire continent of Africans. And then in America, I don't feel guilty when the Pilgrims came. Okay? I don't feel guilty about other Europeans who came and did bad things because I didn't do those things. I'm here. I was born here. Okay? I'm here now. Where am I supposed to go? Back to, I'm half Sweden, half German, half Irish. You're going to split me in half and send me back?
Here's the difference.
What am I supposed to do?
In a very young world, we live, whether I don't care if you believe in evolution or not, this is a very young world. Governments weren't formed in a lot of these places.
Right.
And so when a government and a mass of people has not become a coalition,
right,
it's free movement for all.
Right.
You can come to America, you can immigrate until a government is formed.
Right.
In Africa, these places where these white people were going
right.
had no formal government.
And I call them Europeans because it's not about color.
Thank you.
Okay.
So they migrated to another part of the world where there was no one to say, we have a government.
Because what did they want? They wanted freedom and a better life.
And they wanted to farm.
Why is it that it's okay for Africans to leave Africa
right.
for a better life?
Right.
But it's not okay for Europeans to go down to Africa for a better life.
Right.
This is what I don't understand in America. We want all these migrants to come. That it's a great thing. Migration is a great thing. However, it's not a great thing if you're a European going to America. How is that not a great thing? But now diversity is great. Well, America wasn't diverse. It was all Native Americans. So we bring in some diversity.
Right. It's a catch-22.
It's a catch-22. It's a lying, hypocritical thing.
Right.
So anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. When talking about these Africans, they have not been able to use their natural resources to the best of their ability.
And I was thinking this earlier when we were talking about Africa.
You got China in Africa, literally raping Africa. Why aren't Africans using what they have?
Because, and here's the answer, it's kind of like Haiti. They're godless. And that's why we send missionaries to places like Haiti and Africa. And I got to tell you guys, this is Resistance Chick. It's my show. I can say what I want. The Bible is very clear that when you obey God and you have a Christian society, it will thrive. The power of God is so strong that even with all of the corruption that we have going on in the UK, in the United States, even in Germany or whatever westernized, civilized Christian nation you want to talk about, even amidst all that corruption, the prosperity is there because that's how powerful the power of God is for us to be enlightened because we know Jesus Christ.
Right.
So you have Africa, you have Haiti, where they don't have the massive knowledge of God the Father, Jesus Christ in their nation, and that is why they have never been able to thrive.
Right, exactly.
And why it's so important that we missionize these countries and bring the gospel of Jesus Christ to them and help their countries, help the people where they are at in these countries.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say. Make Africa great again. Africa is such a beautiful continent.
Yes.
And so much so that Europeans wanted to go down there and create a life there. Right?
Right.
You can create a wonderful civilization in Africa. And people want to, and Europeans tried. Right. But they were told they weren't allowed to. And then, unfortunately, as Africans took over, it's just the same thing with Palestine, the Palestinians with Israel. Israel took a arid, dry desert.
Correct.
And they are able to have fruits and vegetables. And they were, with their mind and with the blessing of God, were able to create an oasis in a desert.
Right.
But when the Palestinians take it over, they destroy it.
Right.
Because they're about destroying it. It's not a racist thing. It's just a fact.
Right.
Okay? And so in South Africa, a lot of these farms that were taken over, where the farmers were killed, they're failing. Because they didn't go to the farmers. They didn't say, hey, listen, will you teach me how to farm?
Right.
Teach me to do what you're doing?
Right.
Let's love each other. Let's care about each other.
Patriot Gallery.
I think we all, we're watching you in the chat and everything. We all thank you, Michelle, bring God, because you brought good news back. And it's so true that God sets your mind free so you can think. Fear bind your mind and you can't think and you get angry and you get scared and you don't know what to do. God sets it free so you're not afraid and you can think clearly. Right. I was just noticing all these different countries. Egypt, you're talking about Finland, you're talking about Norway, you're talking about France and all this stuff, where there is ignorance of God.
Right.
There
is God out in those countries.
And that's just all tyrants will get rid of the Bible and they'll get rid of Christianity. And that's what they're trying to do with these Muslims. Muslims are ignorant. You're here in Germany. They went to learn how to be police officers. And the teacher said, these are the most ignorant people I know. Because they were forced into an occult that narrows their mind and makes their mind bound to only think about Muhammad and what Muhammad said and what the Bible, what the Quran says.
Yeah.
And so they're very narrow and they can't think outside of this occult that oppresses them. And so why would you want a bunch of migrants who are very ignorant? Because you can turn them easily into slaves.
Correct.
God is all about, and you can read in the Bible, if you're not teaching liberty through God, then you're not a Christian. Free. Christians must preach liberty. That's why America is founded on liberty. Our first dollar, the silver dollar, has liberty on it. And our gold, $10, says eagle. Because the Bible says, once God sets you free, you will fly like the eagle. And so a silver dollar means liberty. We put it right there. We put God right on that. Liberty is God.
Right. Amen.
Liberty.
So, France is saying that Africans need to take the lead on the Libya migrants. African countries have to take the lead rescuing migrants trapped in camps in Libya, the French government spokesman said. I find this incredibly hypocritical, by the way. He says there needs to be an inter-African force that can intervene. African countries have to take the lead. African Union estimates there are between 400,000 and 700,000 migrants in at least 42 camps and has already arranged some repatriation flights.
Repatriation flights.
Yeah, and so until we really bring the gospel of liberty, which sets your mind free. I mean, the Bible talks about God teaches the farmer how to plant. God will teach your hands to work.
Sorry, guys.
God will teach your hands to do things. People have demonized Christianity, but Christianity led to civilization.
Right.
Christianity led to sewers, to proper toilets.
Hang on, though, because I was like sewers as in like a bad thing. I get it, which means
not
plumbing,
not throwing your feces out the window.
Yeah.
Okay. Christianity in our enlightened minds were all scientists.
Yep.
Louis, Pasteur, I believe, was a Christian. So, all these scientists were seeking the Lord, seeking God's will on how to keep things. I mean, the whole Old Testament is how to keep things clean. The reason you weren't supposed to touch a dead body and you had to stay outside of the camp wasn't because you were sinful. It was because somebody just died, and whatever they had, if you touched it, let's make sure you don't bring it in.
True story.
Right? And so the same thing with like mold, these whole things. God was just trying to keep people healthy and whole, right?
Right.
And so we want to make Africa great again. Now, speaking of France, Obama meets Les Neapolitans. Anyways, he went to France and he got it for a $400,000 speech. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Okay.
$400,000.
Well, because he's kind of hard up because he's not president anymore.
Right. I'm going to finish with that because that's a pretty awesome article.
All right, you got 14 minutes, actually 13, before we hit the 2-hour mark.
Okay. Amsterdam, Islamization has set Amsterdam back 50 years, and that's actually an article written for, unfortunately, gay people who can't be gay in Switzerland. We're gonna put all these links in after we upload this video. I want you to watch the Syrian girl. She talks about the breaking of the statue, and there's a couple more I wanted to get.
Did we do Hungary and Poland?
No, we're actually gonna end. I think I've got 2 up with Hungary and Poland here. That's a German guy. Egypt. Okay, here's Hungary. And Romania. We're going to Hungary, Poland, and Romania, and then some answers, which I find cool.
Beth says Obama is violating the Logan Act by following Trump and speaking policy with foreign leaders.
Right. You're absolutely right. He should not be doing this. All right. Here's the article from Zero Hedge. This is what I want to show you guys about Erdogan here. The title is Mysterious Gold Dealer's Testimony Puts Erdogan on Shaky Ground.
Good.
As on the soccer field in his youth, so in a tumultuous political career spanning 4 decades, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has consistently shown his mettle as a fighter who won't be satisfied with anything short of total victory. But in the battle that is now unfolding around him and which is besieging him, there isn't going to be a winner. What is at stake is survival, the chance to live another day, even in ignominy. That much is clear from the opening testimony in a federal courtroom in New York on Wednesday from the Turkish-Iranian gold trader Reza Zarrab, who allegedly helped Tehran sidestep U.S. sanctions to export oil with the conveyance of corrupt Turkish high officials and then launder the income. When the principal accused becomes a star witness in a U.S. court, he has possibly struck a deal with the authorities. The remaining ambiguity in with regard to when it was that Zarrab struck the deal was when he landed in Miami 18 months ago, ostensibly to show his son around Disneyland, or before he was spirited out of Turkey to America on the express understanding that he get clemency for providing hard evidence to nail Erdogan. Zarrab explained, this guy, whoever did this, needs a little bit of help on his caricature. He looks like his face at the melting
off.
All right.
Maybe he had to draw it fast.
So this face-melting man, Zarrab, explained before the court the elaborate scheme he orchestrated to free a few billion euros of Iran's sanctioned oil using funds deposited in the Turkish state-owned Halbank, which were used to buy gold that was subsequently smuggled to Dubai and sold for cash. The FBI also nabbed a senior functionary of Halkbank, who's on trial. Zarrab named a confidant of Erdogan, the former Turkey economy minister Zafer, I don't know who these people are, as having taken bribes amounting to over 60 million, and also implicated Turkey's Akif Bank, which is part of a holding company headed at the time of Erdogan's son-in-law, Erdogan's dude, okay. Zarrab is due to testify again. We have only seen the tip of the iceberg. Meanwhile, Turkey's main opposition leader revealed on Tuesday that Erdogan's close circle, including his brother, his son, and his executive assistant, made transactions worth about 15 million to an offshore company called Bellway Limited on the Isle of Man in late 2011 and 2012. I'm not sure where this is going to go, but if this nabs Erdogan, it's suffice to say Erdogan has a choice between capitulation or the desecration of the house he built in a long, hugely successful political career. Time is running out. Erdogan is circling the wagons. He may feel tempted to ride the wings of Turkish nationalism. There's still no credible political figure who can change Turkish politics, challenge him in Turkish politics. So I'm hoping that this leads somewhere.
So Michael wants to know, why is USA sanctions supposed to make something illegal?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. It just is.
Anybody got an answer for that one?
Well, it's just, when he's operating within the U.S., and so if you're doing something in the U.S. and we put sanctions and they go around it and they launder the money to get around these sanctions and it's illegal, we have laws in America. You set him up. Erdogan's a bad dude, man.
I'm hoping he gets trapped in this one.
All right. So, are you ready for this? You may like this. You may not, depending on how you view it. It's not racist, okay? Just go with me. Romania joins Hungary and Poland and Slovakia and the Czech Republic in accepting Muslim migrants.
Romania.
Now, I want to put this in perspective. We've already did this at the beginning. It's not about Muslims, but you have to remember, if you do not know who the Ottoman Turks are, if you do not know about the Barbary fight that Americans had with Muslims at the after we won independence, you have to understand that there has been a battle between Islam and the West for years, and these people see invading an invading army. And listen, we have showed you video after video where Muslims say, we are going to take over. They say things like, the Queen of England is going to wear the burqa, and we are here to take over. We're here to take over. We're here to take over. And so people are like, they're taking you at face value.
Well, not only that, but we have seen how many churches worldwide have been turned into mosques.
That's not
how and why is this happening?
So these people say, I'm not going to play this video, but what they said was, don't bring the migrants here. There will be violence. Well, they didn't bring the migrants there. They said, we want our women and children to feel safe.
Yeah. Look at Sweden. All you have to do is look at Sweden.
Romanians here are protesting the construction of a mosque in Bucharest in 2016. And a year later, it has still yet to start. And I will play this video here.
Is it?
You can read it.
Okay. Johannes the traitor.
And there's a picture of Erdogan here as the Grim Reaper.
Pity, pity, pity for the bloodshed. Repeat. Let's see. I.e. Romania's 700 to 800 years of war against the Ottoman invasions. Church songs. Orthodox Easter is coming soon. Orthodox faith, family, national identity. Banner says, we do not negotiate. Sign. Tepes program. Vlad Tepes, cruel hero against the Muslims. The list of most important. Did you read the rest of that? We don't want the mosque. We don't want the mosque. Wow. We don't want enemies. We want God with us. Nobody against us. That's the United Romania Party. Our message is very clear. We are gathered here on Sunday to send a clear message to President Johannes that our faith is not for sale. Our traditions are not for sale. Our common values and faith kept us united in this part of Europe for thousands of years. Romanians don't want, not even as an idea, a mega mosque in Bucharest. Romanians do not want to accept mandatory quotas of migrants in Romania. People praying, Our Holy Father. Football fans, Oli, Oli in Romania, Ole. Never, whatever. Ole, Ottoman, Paslak. Good for them.
So they are seeing this in a way that they wouldn't have done this it's 20 or 30 years ago. They have Muslims there.
Yeah.
Okay? But when you turn it into an invasion, that's when they draw the line. Okay. Hungarian Prime Minister Orban says George Soros will interfere in the election and vows to stop him. I wanted to let you know he had, came out and said, listen, I know George Soros is going to try to mess with our election. In an interview on Friday. We want a different future, and it is my duty to enlist all possible tools of the state, including intelligence, the Secret Service's legal and public debate. Therefore, we ordered an intelligence report on the composition, workings, and Hungarian and European influence of the Soros machinery. And I'm going to put this in there. You guys can look at that. He says they will support publications, do propaganda, strengthen civil groups, and pay thousands of people by election time. They will establish civil centers which will work like campaigning parties, meaning the Soros network has entered the Hungarian election campaign. And we see, I've got an article where the Cambodian government is saying Soros is setting up secret society, open societies there. We call them secret societies. They're really secret. They're not
right.
Open. Sweden, that's where his billions of dollars are going in these non-government organizations. He is funding, I'm sure, those ships that brought everybody over. And so
the whole goal is to destabilize, and they're doing it very effectually.
This is Alexandra Rybaska, Polish journalist, explains how Poland looks at the refugee crisis and Merkle.
It's in Polish. It depends on your point of view. I mean, for the Polish, Mrs. Merkel's actions are completely irrational. That's what I have been hearing for the whole time. They even talk of a certain German neurosis. Something along the lines of Germany saves the euro, Germany saves Greece, now Germany saves the refugees, and even the democracy in Poland. One could think that Germany had neurosis, or maybe Mrs. Merkel has neurosis. I can tell you that's how Poland looks at it, and it's looked at as the German problem. The Germans have to solve that all on their own. Firstly, we have a similar problem like France. The refugees don't want to stay in our country because our social system is just way too weak.
Got enough money.
They can get around 80 euros in social benefits. That's not interesting for anyone. We took in 1,000 Syrians. They were all Christians. They were taken in by Christian families. They all ran away during the night to Germany. I mean, we get too little money, and we don't know what we are supposed to do with these refugees given to us. Are we supposed to lock them up and throw away the key? I love that. Sorry I didn't read it quite as well as she probably said it.
No, that was pretty awesome. No, you did a good job. Now I want to go to I have some beauty here. We're going to talk about some.
Why would anyone bring a snake into their home, then tell their wife and children, if it bites you, get over it. If it kills you, I will keep it safe and feed it. What the heck, says We Are Borg.
Good question.
Patriot Gallery.
Here we go.
Oh, she would like the microphone.
Well, you can hear me better.
Yes.
But if you come to America, you have to become Christian. You have to turn your back on your Muslim faith because our laws are Christian. And you go to Germany, any of these countries, the root, like Soet said, is Christian. You have to become Christian if you go to another country and you're Muslim.
Right.
Because our laws, especially Poland and Hungary,
Right.
are based on Christianity. So you have to turn your back on Muslims and the teaching of Islam in order to go to these countries.
Right.
You have to obey their laws.
Exactly. Because, like Raheem Kassim said, that when BBC did that poll in 2009, 40% of 18 to 24-year-olds wanted Sharia law in the UK.
Exactly.
And the Sharia law is completely and wholly incompatible with the laws of the UK, with the United States, with many of the countries in the West, because they are based on Christian principles.
Right.
Hang on, she's not finished.
That's okay.
Well, Christian laws are holy, and Muslim laws are unholy. Rape is an unholy act. Beating your wife is an unholy act. Men are called to protect their wives and children and cherish them and protect them physically and mentally, emotionally. And Muslims say, beat your wife, hurt your wife's mental mind and her emotions. Just tear her to pieces.
Right.
If you're the boss, you make her do what you want to do. Right. That's an unholy act.
Right. But they would say, well, if she's submissive to me and she's a good Muslim, then I won't have to beat her. I won't have to, if she makes herself a good wife. There are no contingencies upon protecting your wife and not beating her.
That's true. Okay, so when we're talking about some answers.
We're at 2 hours. Hope you guys are still sticking with us.
I know.
It's
I
okay.
had so much day. I knew I was.
You know what? It's a good day for a show. And when we finish here, I have to go outside and scoop pig poo and do a lot of manual labor and unload manure. So I'm not exactly in a huge hurry to go do that.
At one time in America, there were laws that let men kill their wives and abuse their wives. But we came out of that knowing it wasn't a Christian thing. And Muslims are still stuck in this men are the head of the household. And they get to do whatever they want. And the wife is just there to please them.
As a second-class citizen.
Yes. And so the Bible is very clear that women are equal to men. Their bodies are just weaker. And because their bodies are weaker and because they carry children, they have to be especially taken care of like a rose.
Right. So what says polygamy and pedophilia are unholy as well?
Okay, so I wanted to show you guys this picture. You may not be able to see it, but this was taken on the corner of Burgos Castile and Leon in Spain. And this was taken on December 1st. And I wanted to give you an idea of what is Europe and what are people fighting for to keep in Europe. Arabs don't have this kind of infrastructure. They didn't build beautiful buildings. Unfortunately, sub-Saharan Africans, they don't have, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not the same mindset. They don't have the great Christmassy things and it's just a two different clashings. And so when you bring in different people, you can balance things out. But they flooded it to destroy the beauty. Right. Is what I wanted to show you pictures of. And then I wanted to show you, this is a picture of Prague and the Czech Republic. I don't think you can see it as well. But it's just beautiful with the great church and the lit up Christmas tree and their Christmas market. Beautiful. And it's just, you see the snow, and that's what people are fighting for. And it's one thing for somebody to come and knock on your door and ask for you to share. It's another thing for you to knock on somebody's door and demand. Right. Okay? And so if you have something and somebody says, can you share with me? Can I share in this? Yeah. That's one thing. And so what we're fighting is the demand. The demand. Right. I'm coming into your home. I'm taking your stuff, right? And so the answer, and I have it up, I believe, on which one? Okay, Eastern Europe holds the key to save Europe. And I just want to read a little bit of this article. Whenever we travel in Europe, we are surrounded by beauty. It may not feel like it if we were in an industrialized area, but even in the fires of industry, beauty lives. And here's a picture. This beauty permeates everything. Europe is just, I mean, when you look at Venice, when you go to these great capitals, I mean, when you just walk through, and Horatio sent us pictures of the UK, of Yorkshire, this is beauty, right? Mm-hmm. And we've gotten to the place where beauty doesn't seem to matter. And beauty in a way that brings health and healing to the soul.
Right.
Right? So it connects us all from, and I'm going to get these things wrong, the Kyprois in the south of Scandinavian Arctic Circle to the furthest coast of Ireland to the Russian borders. It smells of soude pas, it smells of pierogi, it smells of beef with gravy, cannoli, haggis, and Kritzel, it smells of home. You can feel it when you walk on the streets of the nations of Europe. Now, that's why Americans would want to go to Europe, for these smells, for these tastes, for these experiences, right?
Correct.
You experience it when you are far from your own nation and are suddenly struck by a curious sense of deja vu, that intangible feeling of belonging. Though we are in a foreign land, in industrial Rhineland and the shores of Las Isles Baleares or on the streets of Budapest, the same strands of history are woven throughout all of Europe. That's why we talk about European news, because it's about, talking about America. It's kind of the same thing, each different state. Yeah. Though we live in different ways, there's more that connects us than separates us. This is the beauty of the shared European culture. And I'm going to say, for Christian foundations, led by God in ways where people did bad things. And you had the Pope, and you had, Queen Mary of Scots, and you had the bloodbaths.
It wasn't
but
always
that's a
beautiful
shared
thing.
History, right? To look back to. And beneath it all, there is this thing that keeps Europeans together. And it's not a racist thing. And you can allow people to come into that. But you can't allow people to come in and say, I want to change it. I want to destroy it. You owe me something.
Right.
Though we all live in different ways in Europe, there is more that connects than separates us. The roots that spread to Christianity and the Roman Empire persist today, blended with the even older pagan faiths that we remember only today in ritual. The art is a kinship clearly identifiable as European in origin, as in our schools of philosophy, science, and literature. Together, our nations are current manifestation of the most successful civilization of the world. Europeans, bonded together by history and blood, have a culture. They bear the proud duty and responsibility to care for it in the name of their ancestors and in trust for other descendants. Of course, they're not perfect. And, after World War II, you have this, countryophobe, where everybody's afraid to be a country again. And everybody's a neo-Nazi and things like that. But when you look at it through the eyes of God, through the eyes of Christ, then it makes more sense.
Right.
When you look at it through an atheist thing, it sounds very selfish, right? But if you welcome people in and you say, this is a great culture, we created this great civilization, we believe we have the right balance of laws here. If you don't, then you can run for office and things like that. But we have nations and we have borders and we have things like that. One more video I want to bring to you here. This is a German woman that speaks out, and not often that you get to hear German women speak out. So Michelle, you want to go ahead and
oh, okay. Yeah. Nothing bad let's see. Wow, so it's going really fast. Nothing.
Start here.
Okay. The whole police force, so that we can reassure ourselves the next day that nothing bad happened and all is good again in Cologne. But the real problem is, firstly, we pull everything into Cologne. Meanwhile, what's going on in Krefeld, Duisburg, in Dortmund and Bielefeld and Hagen, or in other cities, God forbid that something will happen there. If I was a criminal, I would say, okay, great. The police have given us a plan where they will be. Then at least we know where you will not be. So you don't see the danger gone. I don't see the danger gone, but I see a great staging after the motto, great, we are now doing a peaceful New Year's Eve. We will do a light installation and we will let the migrant choir sing. But this is not the New Year's Eve we want to celebrate. We want to go back into town and we want to be able to celebrate New Year's Eve without police protection. And not only in Cologne, but in all cities. And that is what politicians should want to do. How we exactly will manage next year to only need...
I'll try to make it
That's okay. 140 police officers again. And I basically do not only fear for the women who were indeed affected a year ago, sadly, but I am concerned above all with the fear of all the other women in Germany. You know what happened in Cologne had a signal effect and confirmed what so many women in Germany had gone through for a year and a half. And so you start to become more cautious. I know women and girlfriends in all of German cities who tell me about unpleasant situations that suddenly have increased. As women, we are suddenly more cautious. Personally, I too have become more cautious. I travel a lot. I am only in flat shoes on railway stations so that I can run fast when in doubt. When I tell about this, I'm told, you put water in the mills for the wrong people and nothing has happened to you yet. To which I say, may I be afraid only after something happened to me, or may I preemptively be afraid before? May I worry about my daughter and her girlfriends? And I think this dangerous situation has actually increased in Germany, and so has the feeling of fear. And I think that we have a right to take these women seriously and take care of this anxiety, not only in Cologne on the Domplatz with a lights installation, but also on the small train stations with no police when I come home in the evening. That it is taken care of everywhere else again, even in my city park.
So she's just kind of saying, listen, we're afraid and these things are happening and we're not allowed to talk about it. I mean, literally, they have anti-rape underwear for women. And in Sweden, they have women who, if you want to run after dark, the police will run with you. Peter Sweden was saying that somebody threw a grenade in Sweden. There's bombs in Sweden. There are things happening all the time in Sweden. So we covered every country and the negative effects.
Right.
And this is probably going to sound bad, but I am glad for it because I want the Christians to wake up again.
Right.
And Eastern Europe is going to show us the way, how to stand your ground.
Right.
But love people and walk in the love of God and walk on the love of Christ, but to do so in a way that you take care of your family, you take care of your country, you take care of your neighbor.
Right. And so chivalry has become a theme here in the comments. I'm going to read a couple of these.
I love it.
Let's see. Don't take away my woman privilege, says We Are Borg. I love being treated like a lady, and I like to be able to smile and getting my way from time to time. Yes, I'm guilty. LOL. Let's see. Men need to be chivalrous, says Scotty. Let's see. We Are Borg. Oh, this is from Jack. Says, good for you, my dear, and long may it continue. Gary says, we used to put women on a pedestal. Chris says, Gary, I still do. Christopher says, sorry, Scott, feminism killed chivalry. So what says the root cause of the problem are illegals and Islam. Beth says, I raised two wonderful young men who are unable to find good wives in this ultra-liberal city. Any suggestions?
What city?
What city is that, Beth? Scotty says, please, women, don't take advantage of men and what they do for you. It needs to be a loving, mutual relationship when we are equal but different and do things for each other out of love and respect.
You guys are awesome.
And then they were talking about chastity belts. So Britt says, women are also sacred in the UK because of the Islamic culture. Took at Nikki Hurst getting her head smashed against a wall by Islamists.
And see, that's where I go with Tommy Robinson and Britain First, because you might not like their methods, they might not have it right all the time, but they're trying to bring back chivalry in the best way that you can. I mean, they're not turning into daggum, Vikings.
So Beth's in Annapolis.
Oh,
Maryland.
In that Maryland. Try there. Just pray.
You know what? And that is the answer. Prayer. The righteous prayers of a mama for her son to find
it's easier to find a wholesome wife than it is a wholesome dude, unfortunately.
And you know what? In our comment section, we actually hear the opposite, but it is kind of true. If you're a man and you're unable to find a wholesome wife, you're looking in the wrong places.
Because they're everywhere. I have a list of like 10 friends who are wonderful, beautiful.
Yeah. Of all ages.
Wholesome wife material.
From 18 to 75.
We got them. Have children and they can't find wholesome men. And I find the men are having an easier time. I know that you guys obviously aren't. You're the few that aren't, and we will pray for you. We're praying for people to find people all the time. But with 80% of the men in the U.S. addicted to porn, it's going to be much harder. That's a 20% out of the entire United States population for women to find a good
And that's
dude.
in a specific demographic and in the Christian church.
No, that's all in America.
Is it? Because I know in the Christian church it specifically
that's in a lower age bracket. It's like in the 20s, but that's all of America. That's not the church. The church is a little bit less.
But within the church, between I think it's 18 and 35, it is like 75%.
It's huge.
And as a female, I will not marry a man that looks at pornography. It's never going to happen. That is just not. And I'm going to take it a step further. I'm praying to God that I don't ever have to marry a man that ever was addicted to pornography, because that's a battle that you kind of fight for the rest of your life. It's a very dangerous thing. So, men, I just said this to a male friend of mine the other night. God gives an anointing to men to find their wife, because it's your job to find the wife that is unparalleled. Okay, so if you can tap into that, you'll have no problem. You really should have no problem. Patriot Gallery.
She wants the mic.
But it's all because of fake dollars, fake money.
True.
Since they brought that in, you have a lie in your head. Mm-hmm. And men lust after that dollar bill. Then they lust after cars. Then they lust after tools. Then they lust after all this other stuff. So you got a life of lust with a fake dollar.
Right.
Once you start being a man, the Bible says a man should be paid what he is worth when you hire somebody, but they have to pay you in silver and in gold. You'll have more self-respect.
Right.
Your mind will be elevated to the truth, and you won't have a pornography problem anymore, because we have these problems because of that fake dollar. We think it's so real, and we will die without it. Or if you're in Europe, you'll die without the franc, or you'll die without the mark,
it's the euro now.
The euro. I think England has their pound still.
Yep. Yeah.
But I mean, you got to stop using fake stuff. Only silver is real, and only gold is real.
So she did just now give you a little hint to the skit that we did.
And then wrap it up.
That we did yesterday that I have not edited yet. I'm going to edit it later tonight once the sun goes down. So the link between the paper dollar, gold and silver, that's a hint to the skit that we did yesterday that I'm going to edit.
I had one more thing where a Jewish rabbi was going to explain to us the history of Islam, but we're done. We're not going to go.
It's the UK Euro section. We can't talk about chivalry and how to find a spouse. We should do a whole episode on that, all on its own. That would be enjoyable. So, do you want to sing anything? How about the first Noel?
Sure.
Oh, come on. Wait, why is that just a sure?
No, I'm fine.
So I was going back.
I have in my head Father Abraham, because this Jewish guy I was going to bring up, he said that there was this song in like the 90s that people would sing, we need to get back to Father Abraham. Had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. So let's just praise the Lord right on.
And then you just go through the whole
right foot, Father Abraham. So I had that song stuck in my head. You said song.
No, we're not going to sing that. Okie dokie. All right, so the first Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east,
unto the earth. It gave great light, and so it continued by day and night. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel, and by the light of that same star, 3 wise men came from country far to seek for a king was their intent, and to follow the star wherever it ends. This star drew nigh to the northwest, or Bethlehem. It took a rest, and there it did both stop and stay, right o'er the place where Jesus lay. Then entered in those wise men 3, full reverently upon their knees, and offered there in his presence their gold and myrrh and frankincense. Then let us all with one accord sing praises to our heavenly Lord, that hath made heaven and earth of naught, and with his blood mankind hath bought. Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Yay! Dear Lord, we just thank you so much for our wonderful European viewers and for this segment, and we thank you for bringing Christ back into Christmas. And Christ back into Europe is what made Europe great. And I thank you that you are going to protect these migrants. And I ask you to send them where they are supposed to be, God, because only you know. And I pray that you make Africa great again. And I pray that you bring peace to the Middle East. And I pray that free speech will be brought. And so we can openly talk about these things. We can talk about Islam. We can talk about everything. And we can bring your truth to it, because no one can stop the God train. And we just pray for our viewers now. We pray that you help them all to find wonderful wives and husbands, and make wonderful children for the kingdom of God.
Yes.
And we just thank you and praise you that you're bringing justice. You're making Europe great again. You're making America great again. And your hand has moved. And I thank you that we get to be alive in this time to literally see the transformation from global evilist agenda in the past 100 years back to people seeking the Lord. And I pray that you open their eyes and open their minds, because that's the only way any of this is going to be fixed, is through the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen. All right. So one of our viewers the other day had mentioned how coming here to watch the news with Leah and Michelle is not church, and I should not have said that. And I have to wholeheartedly disagree. When you guys, the church is the fellowship of believers.
Right.
And I know that not all of you guys here are believers, but you do believe in truth. And you're welcome to come to the Resistance Chicks church news service whenever we have it. We do bring church to you guys. We are the body of Christ. And I feel the community with you guys. I love that through a series of unfortunate events, we have been forced to go live. It's not something that we were going to do, but because we do, you guys are here. And then in the comment sections, you are here. You are part of the Resistance Chicks family, and we love you for it. So, welcome to church. Thank you for being here. The best part about our church service is we don't take up an offering. I mean, come on.
For real. It's
like, seriously.
For real.
So, thank you So What for coming and joining today. You guys, once again, please go and subscribe to So What's channel. I'm going to put the link to his channel in the description afterwards, along with all of the links that Leah had for today.
He's going to upload a video maybe to Minds and then to maybe PewTube. That's new. To Facebook, to YouTube. He's going to try to space out his videos on different platforms so that all of a sudden they're not all gone at one time.
Right. And I like what Mark says. I leave if they get too churchy. So does Horatio. We don't. It's fine. We love that you guys can come, and it's kind of like us when we have to listen to the liberals.
Or the swearing.
You know
Paul
what?
Joseph Watson swears like a sailor.
If
what
it gets,
did he with a drunken sailor?
If the swearing gets too much, then we just leave and we come back. So you guys are welcome to do that. Thank you to all the moderators who are here today.
Hi,
Sydney has decided to make her appearance at the end. I know Gary, Sook,
She did a good
Will,
job today. She did.
I don't think that Maia was here today. I think that kind of covers everybody that was here today. So thank you guys for being mods.
So
we love
find
you.
us
God
on
bless you.
Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Obviously, you can't follow us on VidMe anymore.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out some more platforms for just in case this ever goes. So if something ever happens to this channel, check our other channel, which is Resistance Chicks. Check us on Facebook. We're always going to be there. You know our names, Leah Michelle Svensson. They can't shut those down too. This isn't Germany.
Yet.
We're
getting there. Dinner days, eh?
Hey. You can find us anywhere.
We have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio, 45150. If you want to send us your comments in the mail, we will read them on air. So what says, please do not link to me. They may be offended. We will just put a parental discretion. It's fine. They're not going to be offended at what you're saying. And we love So What.
And our UK viewers are especially.
Oh my gosh, the UK viewers are going to be fine. They're not going to think one.
Don't forget Blogger.
And we are on Blogger, Isaiah 58 Ministries, and Resistance Chicks.
Yeah.
So I think that wraps us up for today. Thank you for being here.
What is awesome? I can't tell you how much I love to watch his videos because
they make me laugh
the whole time. If I sit down and watch his video, I will giggle the entire time,
even if it's something serious.
So funny. Illegals. Illegals. I don't know how he makes it so funny. He just does. And
we don't just love him because he just so happens to cover the Resistance Chicks frequently.
Exactly.
We loved you before then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully we'll have you on next Sunday.
If you like Paul Joseph Watson, I mean, he's funnier. Paul Joseph Watson is serious a lot of times, and I don't know. There's just a way about So What that when he presents the news, and you leave smiling, like it's so. I mean, he is in Germany. We're like literally off with your head for speaking out, and he can still laugh about it.
Right.
What a great guy. If we don't have humor, then we will die.
Yeah.
We have to make it funny, right, Sydney?
All right. So we're going to sign off here. See us on
Here's
Friday for
laughing
sure.
now.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we always throw in a couple of extra live streams in between our Friday and Sunday shows. So you may catch us on the fly then. We love you. God loves you.
I got a rap in my head. I don't know.
God bless.
I don't know what it is, but it's in there.
Okay.
Right.
No. We're leaving them.
I hate to leave you people.
But we really must go.